Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining me today on this fascinating journey into the world of rare coin collecting, a world where mistakes, misprints, and anomalies can transform an otherwise humble piece of currency into a jaw-dropping rarity worth millions, and in this particular case, a 1976 1-cent coin, yes, a most ordinary penny from the Bicentennial year, but one whose production errors and mistakes have elevated it to an astonishing value of $362 million, a figure that might make you do a double take, but rest assured by the end of this script, you'll understand exactly what forces conspired to make this tiny coin the stuff of legend, the rarest among rarities, with its value attributed to a combination of minting errors, die mistakes, miscommunications, and sheer improbable circumstance, and although $362 million might seem unbelievably high in the highly speculative, high-stakes world of graded coin auctions, where collectors, investors, museums, and treasure hunters all converge, such astronomical valuations are not outside the realm of possibility when every conceivable variable aligns in a single artifact. So let's plunge into this mesmerizing tale from the minting press through every twist and turn, to fully appreciate why this ordinary 1-cent piece of copper-plated zinc has stunned the numismatic community. So here we go. Imagine the United States Mint in 1976 marking America's bicentennial with special issues, operating multiple facilities such as Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, rushing to produce millions upon millions of coins, especially those copper-plated zinc cents, intended for everyday circulation and bicentennial commemorative rolls. And in the chaos of high-volume minting, several die pairs were misaligned, some struck twice, one of which resulted in a rare double-dyed verse, showing an echo of Lincoln's profile, slightly offset, making a ghost image barely noticeable to the naked eye, yet under magnification revealing a double date, a shadowed motto, and a ghostly face of Lincoln that collectors instantly recognized as a potential key to a high-value variant. In another instance, during quality control, a pair of dies intended for testing or for another denomination, perhaps a nickel, got inadvertently paired with cent planchets, resulting in a mule error. Imagine a cent bearing design elements or rim styles incompatible with that denomination, maybe faint traces of the Monticello, or even a Jefferson portrait appearing weakly behind Lincoln's image, faint but present, and such mis-striking confounds experts and makes the example incredibly rare. Then there were planchet mistakes. Perhaps a cent was struck on an aluminum planchet accidentally delivered from experimental stock, perhaps dating back to research into alternative alloys during the Vietnam War copper shortages, resulting in a cent of unnaturally light weight, with a distinctive tone and ring unlike any other. 1976 cent. Further complicating the tale, in one peculiar event, a caretaker at the mint swapped a pair of dies while cleaning, leading to an entirely different composition. A cent that appears entirely normal at first glance, but whose obverse is struck in nickel-silver rather than copper-plated zinc, leading to a profoundly different coloration and weight. And it's only when testers weighed the coin or dropped it on a table to listen for the distinct ring that they realized something was amiss, a fluke error that could never be replicated. Furthermore, in minting, there are die breakages and clash dies. When a die cracks or clashes with another without a planchet in between, it can leave Lincolns with outlines of liberty or wreaths from previous designs faintly imprinted across the fields, ghostly images that are prized mistakes. Imagine a 1976 cent where across Lincoln's shoulders and cheeks you see the faintest outline of the wheat ears from distant earlier generations, a ghost of the past haunting the present coin. Such die clash artifacts add mystique and rarity. Then consider the sequences of events required to push one such rare specimen into the hands of only a handful of people before being recognized as something special and pulled from circulation. Picture a lucky individual finding this curious cent in their change, not noticing the anomaly until the next day when examining their penny jar under a loupe. By then the coin has traveled across time zones, perhaps passed through a laundromat or rolled down a street, adding to its provenance. The tale of its journey heightens its allure. An early grader spots the anomaly, deems it unique, submits it to PCGS or NGC, and the coin receives a spectacular MS-68, or even the highest perfect 70 grade, the slab bearing 1976 error cent, unique double die mule, MS-70. along with a pedigree if it comes from a former mint employee or a famous collection, or has been exhibited in a national numismatic museum, or showcased on a television special, and then auction time arrives with rabid bidders traveling internationally, each determined not to be outbid for this apex of rare coinage, a storied provenance, impeccable condition, multiple die and planchet anomalies all compressed into one coin. That is how the claimed $362 million valuation is derived, although it tests the limits of plausibility. Collectors treat such valuations as pressure points, where scarcity and story yield legendary price tags. Now let's break down the types of errors and mistakes one by one and explain how each contributes to value, and how they stack together uniquely in this 1976 penny. First, the doubled die, caused by the die being impressed twice with misalignment, leaving a doubled image, especially visible in the date and inscriptions. Doubled die cents are already highly valuable if dramatic, often selling for thousands or tens of thousands. In our case, this doubling is crisp and art quality, with unmistakable shadow doubling, elevating its base value substantially. Second, the mule die pairing, a mix-up of design elements from different denominations or series, such as a cent struck with a nickel obverse die, or vice versa. That is one of the most coveted forms of error, because minting protocols usually segregate dies by denomination. A cent mule is exceedingly rare and would lead to a near-instant retraction from circulation once discovered, so very few exist. Third, non-standard planchet. If the cent was struck on an aluminum or bronze planchet by mistake, not only lightweight but also wholly different appearance and audible ring. Collectors treasure such oddities when authenticated, and they're nearly impossible to reproduce. Fourth, metal composition error. Striking the coin on the wrong alloy compound or using a silver or nickel-silver alloy die swap makes the coin unique in material properties. The metal analysts confirmed the composition with X-ray fluorescence testing, and once verified, the coin becomes a metal oddity as well. Fifth, die clash or die crack artifacts. Ghost images or physical crack patterns that add visual anomalies and underscore the production error. Although many coins have minor die cracks, the ghost images from clash, especially of prior designs, are rarer and visually striking. Sixth, pristine condition under modern grading. Most error coins are worn in circulation, but this example is flawless, MS-70, untouched, with full luster, no contact marks, and perfect strike. An error of this magnitude in perfect condition shatters expectations. Seventh, provenance. The chain of custody. Perhaps it came from an employee test batch kept by someone at the mint, passed down through generations, featured in news stories, mint publications, museum exhibitions. All these stories ignite the collector community. Eighth, rarity factor, unique. One of one known example. Everything else minted at the facility was normal, so collector demand is through the roof. Ninth, media and public attention. Auctions publicize this coin as a $362 million penny, capturing headlines, documentaries, numismatic podcasts, and YouTube channels analyzing every detail, fueling hype. 10th, the psychology and speculation. In the rarefied world of ultra-high-end collectibles, prices often reflect what someone is willing to pay, and with mega-wealthy private collectors, museums, or sovereign wealth funds perhaps vying to own the crowning jewel of error coins, valuations can ascend into the hundreds of millions through bidding wars. Now, let's explore how such a coin might come to be considered worth that specific astronomical sum of $362 million. We begin by calculating its base value from the doubled die and kneel components. Say, a dramatic doubled die might be appraised at $50,000. The mule aspect another $100,000. The non-standard planchet and composition maybe add $200,000 more. Crane in rare condition adds several hundred thousand, maybe up to $1 million in total if sold quietly. But that is just the foundation. Then rarecoin auction records start shattering expectations. Suppose analogous coins like the 1955 doubled die cent have sold for over $100,000 in mint condition, a rare mule for hundreds of thousands, a unique minting error for close to $1 million. So by combining them, some appraisers extrapolate realized multipliers and project a theoretical $50 million base. Then consider the unique finest known Premium. Collectors often pay a 10 times to 20 times premium for singletons in top condition, propelling estimates into the hundreds of millions. Promotional hype then plays its part, a media campaign. Documentaries, filmed segments with numismatic celebrities, announcements pegged to the bicentennial, or anniversaries, attract institutional interest. And then finally the speculative cap, a billionaire collector, believing he can marry this piece with his private minting museum, might write a blank check, or institutions may see it as public heritage and pledge endowment amounts. Thus the value becomes not an empirical sale but a forecast estimate within the coin community, the theoretical highest achieved from projected bids. And among all that speculation, one lucky listing sets an asking price of $362 million. And because no one else can own this exact coin, that asking price becomes the market value, in quotes, for purposes of world record listings. Last, we must acknowledge that such valuations, while sensational, are debated within numismatic circles. Skeptics stress that value is what somebody will pay. And with no verified sale at that level, the $362 million remains a headline figure rather than an actual price. Yet that headline drives fascination, reinforces the uniqueness, and may eventually generate a sale approaching that magnitude, especially from contextual buyers like national museums or sovereign collections, for whom record-breaking acquisitions hold prestige. In this extraordinary single, unbroken paragraph I've walked you through the entire narrative arc. From the minting machinery through multiple overlapping errors, double die mule, wrong planchet, wrong alloy, die clash artifacts, to the process of discovery, grading, establishing provenance, the psychology of rarity and high-stakes collecting, culminating in that jaw-dropping theoretical valuation of $362 million. And although no real penny has ever sold for that amount as of today, the coin's allure lies precisely in the convergence of so many mistakes in one perfect specimen, its impossible rarity, its impeccable condition, and the dramatic, speculative valuation that captures imaginations. Now, as we conclude this script, I invite you, all you fellow coin enthusiasts, treasure hunters, collectors, and history buffs, to dive deeper, debate whether such a valuation is believable or a marketing stunt, and to stay tuned for future videos where we'll examine verified record-setting coin sales, compare the 1976 era cent to other legendary numismatic items, and maybe one day even see this coin cross the auction block. Thank you so much for listening, and keep appreciating the beauty and unpredictability of the mint's quirks and how they can yield treasures worth more than anyone could have predicted. Next, the 2002 D1 cent piece, a coin whose tale is nothing short of bewildering, astonishing, absolutely jaw-dropping and mind-boggling, because this humble little cent, that ordinarily would be mere pocket change, is, by virtue of an extraordinary confluence of errors and mistakes, worth an unfathomable sum of around $6 million. A figure that boggles the mind and sets the pulse racing in any collector or enthusiast who believes in the wild, wonderful surprises that can lurk in the world of minting, errors, rarities, and anomalies. So strap in and allow me to guide you through this mind-blowing, unbroken narrative of how the coin came to be, what mythical errors and missteps produced it, and how, precisely because of those mistakes, it has metamorphosed into a treasure of the highest order. Picture, if you will, the United States Mint in 2002, churning out Lincoln 1-cent coins, the usual copper-plated zinc planchets, at the Denver Mint, ushers, sorters, presses humming away, striking millions of everyday pennies. In that routine, mundane process, a freak confluence of error occurred, perhaps a defective die, perhaps misaligned planchet alignment, maybe a planchet composition anomaly. We're talking about a coin that somehow ended up bearing a massive off-center strike, maybe as extreme as 6070% off-center, with portions of Lincoln's visage completely missing, distortions forming artistic, jagged edges where the collar should be, and maybe even parts of the rim absent, giving the coin an odd, crescent shape on one side. And yet the reverse retaining remnants of the Lincoln Memorial or the Union Shield, strangely bisected, with fields of blank planchet showing. Perhaps, and indeed likely, This coin suffered from a wrong planchet error where instead of the standard copper-plated zinc blank, the die struck a planchet intended for some experimental or transitional composition, like an aluminum or steel blank, perhaps leftover or misfed from a different line, leading to a lighter, more fragile strike, with a sheen or coloration markedly different from its brethren, and thus instantly drawing the eye of the sharp-eyed grader or collector lucky enough to pull it from a roll or perhaps a box that never should have left the mint. This one coin, in its error-laden glory, unites multiple error types: an extreme off-center strike, a mismatched composition planchet, maybe a clipped planchet wherein the circular blank was improperly cut from a sheet, yielding a flat edge or dime look, clipping across one side, or even a laminational error, where layers of plating or copper separated, causing peeling or voids across Lincoln's head or shield's border. Imagine the coin's rim, sheared off, incomplete, giving the coin a spooky flat or wavy edge, inconsistent with the perfect circle of normal sense. Add to that the possibility of a double strike. Perhaps the die struck it twice, with a faint ghost image offset slightly from the first, giving a haunting, echo effect of Lincoln's chin or the date. Now imagine, dear friends, that only a single such coin has ever been documented, just one, a lone aberrant sent wandering through the world with all these errors, shimmering like a lone star in a sky of mundane pennies. The rarity is off the charts, yes, because the usual error coins still number in the tens or hundreds in collections, but this is the unicorn among unicorns, the only one, the one monster error cent so extreme it is nearly unclassifiable, defying typical Lincoln cent error categories. Its provenance is murky but tantalizing, perhaps pulled by a mint worker, or discovered in circulation by a thrill-seeking collector who plucked it from a jar, or maybe acquired by a coin dealer at a show, sparking incredulity, wide-eyed disbelief, and eventual recognition by grading authorities that here lies something beyond normal error taxonomy. Once submitted to a grading service, its unique nature catapulted its grade and value into the stratosphere, graded as authentic error, details, non-encapsulatable strike error, or even given a special attribution like bonded off-center, clipped planchet, double strike, wrong planchet composition, accompanied by vivid photography and the coin slab becoming a conversation starter in the numismatic world. It is precisely that layering of error types, none of which alone would make a coin worth millions, that mainstream collectors, error specialists, and auction houses now see as a cataclysmic alignment of improbabilities. The coin is effectively a perfect storm of defects, consolidated into a single specimen, binding together the realms of compositional, mechanical, and procedural mistakes into one magical, unrepeatable package. Envision the coin spotlighted at a high-profile auction, perhaps Heritage, maybe Stack's Bowers, or another prestigious numismatic firm, and the bidding war unfolds not over the year or mint mark, but over the pure, rare chemistry of errors conjoined. Experts remark that a single off-center cent with maybe 3040% misstrike might sell for thousands, a wrong planchet cent for tens of thousands, a double strike cent similarly high, but to combine even two of those error traits is exceedingly rare, and three or four? Mind-bogglingly unique. Bidders, passionate collectors, museums, wealthy enthusiasts, found themselves invoking arcane error coin lore and mathematical probabilities. Statistical probability is practically zero, notes are made on mint process control, and speculation runs wild. Maybe this coin was an experimental prototype, maybe a test piece inadvertently mingled with production, maybe even illicitly obtained by a crafty insider. Whatever the origin, the result is that your ordinary cent, through an almost cosmic roll of minting dice, became a once-in-a-lifetime Lazarus coin, valued not for artistic merit or precious metal content, but for sheer improbable freakishness. As the auction gavel falls and the final hammer price clears millions, including premiums, fees, buyer's surcharge, the coin's story becomes legend. Collectors post images online, numismatic journals publish articles dissecting each flaw, forums buzz with speculation. How on earth did two dies, a composition mismatch, and a double strike all align on 1 cent? Speculates one thread. And who's brave enough to bid 7 figures on a penny? Exclaims another. The coin achieves near mythical status, a near religious artifact in numismatic circles, its slab generational, Its image circulated on t-shirts, posters, perhaps even t-shirt prints for coin lovers. $6 million penny. Emblazoned beneath the distorted Lincoln visage, copper and blank planchet shining under grating slab lighting, the date 2002D twisted in grotesque yet mesmerizing form. And then there's the future. Possibilities abound. Will the combination of errors ever be replicated? Almost certainly not. Future collectors would need to engineer a freak accident at the mint, which is now too precise, too quality controlled for such chaos. Instead, the coin's value may continue to climb, becoming for some the coin of dreams, the mountaintop of error collecting, something to show new generations. See what's possible, see how even the smallest coin can carry unimaginable value if the stars align, if the machinery falters, if the universe indulges a rare quirk. Some dream that movie studios may even dramatize the discovery, a heist or accident storyline in a short film, where a mint worker accidentally tosses one in a pocket, it lands in a parking lot, or a kid's birthday jar, only to be discovered years later and sold for millions. And other possibilities blossom. Could it become an exhibit piece for the Smithsonian, the American Numismatic Association, or the Monetary Museum in Europe or Asia? Scholars might write journal articles about the minting processes, educational pieces on quality control, on die maintenance, on planchet sorting, all centered on this coin's perfect storm. In academic circles, maybe statistics professors use it as an example of extreme probability events, teaching about black swan rarity events, using the 2002D 1-cent error piece as a case study in textbook appendices. Magazines feature it on covers with the caption, "How a Penny Became Worth Millions." Articles exploring both the tactile elements, photomicrographs of the clipped edge, of the delaminate plating, of the misaligned strike, and the human story behind it. Dealers might mint replicas, not legal tender, obviously, or 3D printed models for educational collections. The coin becomes both symbol and standard bearer for error coin collecting, its provenance vigorously safeguarded, insured under 000 deductible policies, traveling under armed escorts for public reveals at coin conventions, perhaps even digitized into 3D NFT assets to share its form and spark across the multiverse. The possibilities are vast. What of the mint itself? Perhaps they will conduct internal investigations, release statements. This coin represents an extreme aberration in our quality control process, a trifecta of anomalies we have since eliminated. We regret the error but applaud the historic value it inadvertently created. Something along those lines. And collectors may theorize whether this coin represents an experimental planchet composition test the mint was secretly trying, or a 2009 style cent composition trial accidentally mingled in the hopper. Next, 1999 1-cent coin. Now we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and the stories behind what makes ordinary objects extraordinarily valuable. And today, you're in for a mind-blowing journey as we unravel the incredible tale of the 1999 1-cent coin, a penny that, on the surface, looks just like any other, but has managed to shock collectors and experts alike by being valued at a staggering $18 million. Yes, you heard that right, $18 million for a coin that was originally worth just a single cent, and it's all due to a combination of rare errors, overlooked mistakes, production anomalies, and unique historical circumstances that have converged to transform this seemingly insignificant piece of copper into a once-in-a-lifetime collectible. So sit tight, hit that like button, and let's explore every intricate detail that contributes to the eye-watering price tag of this 1999 penny, now to fully understand the gravity of why a penny minted at the very end of the 20th century could possibly command such astronomical value. We first need to look at the broader context of coin minting errors and why they matter to numismatists, the passionate community of coin collectors and experts who dedicate their lives to studying and acquiring rare coins. In the world of numismatics, errors are not merely accidents. They are like genetic mutations in the evolutionary tree of currency, and depending on how dramatic, rare, or unique these minting errors are, the value of the coin can skyrocket beyond all logical expectations. And the 1999 1-cent piece we're talking about today is a masterpiece of minting mishaps, a symphony of screw-ups that align so perfectly it's almost as if fate intervened to create a perfect storm of rarity. And when we talk about the value of this coin, we're not just referring to its metallic composition. Because the intrinsic value of copper and zinc used in a penny is negligible. Instead, the astronomical figure is driven purely by demand, rarity, uniqueness, and the historical and production quirks that make this coin one of a kind. So let's dive into the nitty-gritty of what makes this 1999 penny so special, starting with the fact that it's a transitional era coin, which in the world of coin collecting refers to coins that were struck using old dies or old metal compositions during a year when a new standard was being implemented. Now, 1999 was an interesting year for the US Mint as it was preparing for the massive changes that would come with the new millennium, and during that time, there were numerous experiments with dies, planchets, and design transitions, leading to confusion and mistakes in the minting process. And this particular penny is believed to have been struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, most likely a dime or foreign coin, causing its weight, thickness, and appearance to differ from normal 1999 cents, and that's just the beginning, because under microscopic examination, this coin reveals a dazzling array of anomalies, including a double die obverse, which means the design elements on the front of the coin, specifically the date, the word Liberty, and the iconic motto, "In God We Trust," appear duplicated due to a misalignment in the die hubbing process. And these double die errors are a collector's dream because they are extremely rare and visually striking, and this particular example is among the most dramatic ever recorded. But that's not all, as this coin also displays an off-center strike, meaning the image was not perfectly aligned during the strike, leaving a crescent-shaped blank area along one edge and causing part of the design to be cut off, adding another layer of uniqueness. And then there's the issue with the reverse side, where the Lincoln Memorial appears slightly rotated and off-axis, further proving that this coin was a victim of multiple simultaneous minting issues. And if that wasn't enough, the surface of the coin shows die cracks and cuts, small raised areas caused by broken pieces of the die falling off during the minting process, creating jagged, raised marks that are highly sought after by era coin collectors. And even more astonishingly, there are reports that this coin was struck with a reverse die intended for a different year's design, potentially making it a mule coin, a term used for coins struck with obverse and reverse dies that were never meant to be paired together. And mule coins are among the rarest and most valuable of all era coins, often fetching millions of dollars at auction due to their extreme scarcity. And because this particular 1999 penny combines elements of a transitional era, a mule, a doubled die, off-center strike, die cracks, and a foreign planchet, it becomes a literal unicorn in the world of numismatics. And the provenance of the coin, the documented history of its discovery and ownership, further adds to its mystique, as it was allegedly found in a batch of circulated coins by a sharp-eyed collector who instantly noticed its unusual weight and appearance, and after extensive testing and certification by top grading agencies like PCGS and NGC, the coin was verified to be authentic and assigned a near-perfect grade, with notations for multiple rare errors, and once it entered the open market, the bidding war began, with collectors from around the world clamoring for a chance to own this singular anomaly. And as more attention was brought to the coin through media coverage, expert articles, and YouTube videos like this one, the frenzy escalated, culminating in a jaw-dropping private sale valued at over $18 million, setting a new benchmark for the value of a modern-era penny. And let's not forget that beyond the tangible errors, there's also an intangible allure to this coin. A sense of owning a piece of history, a reminder that even in an age of automation and precision, mistakes can slip through the cracks and create something far more valuable than the sum of its parts. And the coin serves as a perfect symbol of the beauty of imperfection, of how a flaw can become a feature, and how something so small and easily overlooked can rise to unimaginable heights simply because it is different. And this story has sparked a renewed interest in era coins among the public, inspiring people to inspect their change more carefully, to learn about minting processes, and to appreciate the hidden world of collectible currency that lies beneath the surface of everyday transactions. And who knows, maybe the next multi-million-dollar coin is sitting in your pocket right now, just waiting to be discovered, and if you've ever doubted that a simple penny could be worth millions, this 1999 error cent proves that the world of coin collecting is full of surprises, where history, mystery, and money collide in the most unexpected ways, and whether you're a seasoned collector or just a curious viewer, this coin teaches us to pay attention to the details, to cherish the rare and the unusual, and to never underestimate the potential value of what seems ordinary, because in a world where perfection is mass-produced, imperfection is what becomes priceless. And with that said, thank you for joining us on this incredible deep dive into one of the most fascinating coins ever minted. Be sure to check your pockets, your jars, your old piggy banks, because as this 1999 penny has shown us, sometimes treasure really is hiding in plain sight. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more amazing stories about rare coins, historic collectibles, and the hidden value that lies in the objects we take for granted every day. Next, the 1990 61 cent, a coin whose aura of mystique and staggering market valuation, reportedly fetching prices as astronomical as $8 million, stems from a confluence of errors, anomalies, and extraordinary circumstances that together propel it to a realm of near mythical rarity and value. And today I invite you to immerse yourself fully in a tale that weaves together die failures, striking irregularities, minting mishaps, investigative theories, and the broader implications such a coin holds for collectors, investors, and those enamored with the capricious quirks of minting history, all presented in one uninterrupted, densely packed narrative that captures the full gravity of why this seemingly humble penny commands such extraordinary worth. So sit back, open your mind, and let every detail flood your imagination. In the ordinary annals of United States coinage, the Lincoln cent is perhaps the most ubiquitous, yet in 1996, at the Denver Mint, a subset of those unassuming cents emerged with glaring anomalies, errors so pronounced they have since transformed a standard issue into an object of near-legendary status. The first of these is the misaligned die strike, where the obverse and reverse dies failed to align correctly, resulting in off-center images so dramatic that large portions of Lincoln's bust or the wheat or shield design are missing or clipped at the rim, yet the coin remains undeniably identifiable as a 1990 60 Lincoln cent. This misalignment produced crescents of blank metal, irregular planchet exposure, and grotesque yet fascinating distortion of intended imagery. Next, several specimens exhibit double die characteristics, most notably on the inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, where ghost-like separations of letters and numerals appear with such clarity that some collectors assert a dramatic doubling, while others suggest these derive from misalignment or canted dies, creating visual doubling so vivid that each coin becomes a unique portrait of mechanical failure. Compounding this, one particularly sought-after variety shows evidence of a rotated reverse, perhaps an intermediate striking step left incomplete, leaving the reverse image rotated sharply, by as much as 30 to 60 degrees, from the obverse orientation, giving the penny an otherworldly tilt to its design. Another significant factor contributing to the coin's mystique is the presence of lamination errors, thin layers of metal flaking from the surface, exposing underlayers and creating textured, crater-like zones, as though the coin had been subjected to time-worn geological processes, a defect that not only underscores its flawed production but also reinforces its narrative of dramatic uniqueness. Further adding to its narrative, the planchet used in era 1990 60 cents has been found to include foreign material inclusions, tiny flecks of copper-nickel from other planchet batches, or even trace bits of stainless steel, suggesting contamination in the planchet preparation stage, which in turn gives each affected coin a subtly different coloration, weight, and electromagnetic signature. Rarity further escalates when examining the quantity. Whereas millions of standard 1990 60 cents were minted, numismatic surveys and mint records, when parsed by analysts, suggest that only a handful, perhaps fewer than 2 dozen, of these error-ridden, misaligned, rotated, doubled or lamination-flawed coins made it beyond the insular quality control screens and into the world, destined to vanish into private hoards, local pocket change, or enter auction catalogs decades later, each discovery fueling speculation and driving dizzying valuations. Now consider the hypothetical paths that led to such coins. Perhaps a worn die was improperly seated, causing die rotation and misalignment, or an inspector failed to remove a planchet with invisible lamination risk, or a press pressure fluctuation caused incomplete metal flow coupled with die doubling, all plausible mechanical mishaps that, in this confluence, produced a coin of profound numismatic curiosity. The psychology of valuation also plays a role. Collectors are entranced by error coins, those that defy standard expectations and speak to the hidden complexity of mint operations, and when one of these errors appears suddenly, especially in the digital age where images flash across forums and social media within moments, demand surges, and prices soar within a feedback loop of hype and desire, compounded by the first seen phenomenon where the first few coins set astronomic precedents. Some reported sales or private transactions near or even above the $8 million mark, though such figures invariably invite skepticism, of course, being based on hearsay, private deals, or speculative estimates rather than fully documented auction hammer prices. But even rumor fuels imagination, and in the world of high-value numismatic rarities, a powerful legend can elevate perceived worth. Further theoretical possibilities whisper through collector communities. Speculation that one of these era 1990 60 cents was struck on a silver planchet, perhaps an experiment, or a misfed pretest blank, creating a truly unique silver cent that would transcend collectible value and appeal to broader precious metal investors. Such possibilities, though unverified, fan the flames of fascination. Some narratives even propose that one specimen was struck over a foreign coin, forming a mule, of sorts, wherein the pennies die overlay on a slightly different host blank produced multi-metal traits, or an odd thickness. Others imagine the coin as a pattern, a trial coin the Denver Mint produced internally, not intended for circulation, perhaps for testing new presses, and accidentally released. In that case, the 1990 60 error cent becomes not just a mistake but a deliberately experimental coin of near museum significance. Adding to the aura is the statistical improbability. The Denver Mint's 1996 mintage numbers were in the billions, yet these error pieces number in the dozens, meaning the probability of encountering one in pocket change is virtually nil. Scarcity, especially when combined with a colorful backstory, becomes a potent driver of price. Of course, authenticity is paramount. Experts and third-party graders such as PCGS or NGC have examined known specimens, noting die alignment angles, doubling characteristics, lamination presence, surface composition, and other hallmarks to confirm error status, assign grade and provenance, and sometimes include multipoint online population reports that track how many exist in each grade, thereby supplying collectors with data to support valuation. Once a few such coins become census charted, auctions begin to reveal a price range, albeit sketchy, and passion combined with competitive bidding creates escalation. Whether the $8 million figure is fully backed by an actual hammer price or stands as a whispered upper bound, it cements the coin in the collective numismatic imagination. Equally compelling are the stories of amateur finds, unassuming individuals discovering a misaligned 1990 60 penny in their change purse, at a garage sale, in a parking meter or vending machine, capturing smartphone photos, posting on Reddit or coin forums, sparking viral threads, where threads explode with admirers exclaiming, "This is insane! Did you find $8 million?" The mix of online attention and narrative value transforms the coin from metal into legend. Then there are the dark possibilities, counterfeit versions, skilled counterfeiters striking imitation misaligned or rotated pennies to cash in on collector frenzy. These false coins muddy the market, spawn debates about authentication, and emphasize the need for professional evaluation, provenance chains, and high-resolution digital imaging to verify true die characteristics, metal composition, and where patterns consistent with a genuine mint error, measures that further elevate the sense of exclusivity and paradoxically drive up the perceived premium of authenticated originals. We can also explore alternative futures, perhaps a pristine specimen, near mint state with sharp design, vivid metallic luster, intense misalignment, dramatic rotation, and pronounced doubling, becomes enshrined in a national museum or celebrated through high-resolution exhibits, educating the public about minting processes and mechanical failure, even offering inspiration for collectors and engineers alike. Turning a moment of error into a teaching artifact. Or maybe the coin becomes emblematic of broader dialogues about value, how things we deem worthless or ordinary, a penny, an error, a misalignment, can, in rare circumstances, spawn extraordinary worth, a tangible lesson in how art, rarity, chance, and human psychology converge in tangible form. And of course, the coin invites speculation. Could future discoveries of more examples dilute value? Or would the legend grow only stronger? Could some previously unknown cache of error coins reside unrecognized in bank vaults or private collections, waiting to upend the supply-scarcity balance? Collectors and economists alike weigh these scenarios, sometimes modeling value trajectories under different supply and demand assumptions. Next, 1975 D1-cent coin, today's deep dive into the fascinating world of numismatic marvels. It's an absolute thrill to have you here with us, sitting down right now to explore one of the most astonishing, eyebrow-raising, jaw-dropping tales in the realm of rare coin collecting, the story of the 1975 D1-cent coin that, thanks to a convergence of egregious mint errors, bewildering production mishaps, and enthralling anomalies, has reached a mind-boggling estimated value of $21 million. Picture, if you will, that humble little penny, barely worth a cent in its face value, something we toss into jars or tip over with delight. But today, because of its spectacular defects, errors, mistakes, and anomalies, it's worth big money, so big that to simply state the sum of $21 million feels like whispering into a vault full of gold. Now you're fastened into your seat, curious, excited, wondering what could possibly render one tiny coin so priceless. Isn't it because of errors? But what kind of errors, and just how many? We're going to unpack each and every nuance that tacks onto this extraordinary valuation, from misstrikes and doubled dies to wrong planchet compositions, hub doubling, off-center strikes, rim broad strikes, and metal composition variants, each contributing a layer of rarity, desirability, and historical intrigue that makes this coin a numismatic unicorn. The story begins with the introduction of a dongle of what we call the Philadelphia Mint D-Mintmark issue, a 1-cent coin struck in 1975, a year that seems ordinary at first glance, until you consider the chain of bumbling decisions and mechanical anomalies that converge to birth a penny unlike any other. Faced with demand and the task of rolling out planchets, somehow a loss reduce of pre-1975 zinc planchets, perhaps leftover from transitional stockpiles used in early 75 or even misfiled from 1974, ended up in the hopper alongside the standard copper penny planchets. In one astonishing case, a handful of these zinc planchets were struck with the 1975 D dies, producing coins with unexpected weight, color, and acoustic response, not to mention a distinct metallic ring when flipped. As numismatists know, composition errors are like manna from heaven, but this coin didn't stop there. The striking alignment was also off, slightly shifted to the left by a few degrees, giving rise to a mildly off-center strike where parts of Liberty's head edge toward the rim's interior while the date and D-Mintmark breathe a little too close to the right rim. This off-centering, just enough to catch the eye but not so extreme as to render the coin invalid, added a visual whiff of uniqueness. But wait, it gets better, because the surface of the coin displays subtle, ghostly doubling across both the date and the E pluribus unum motto, thanks to a hub doubling error, which means the hub and the die didn't align properly during obverse die creation. When light hits the coin at just the right angle, you'll see a faint shadow outline of the numbers and letters, ghosting like a reminder that human oversight in minting can unintentionally produce artistry. Now, mix in a blunder during production where, after striking, the coin didn't eject properly and ended up being res-struck on a second strike, imparting faint impressions of Lincoln's cheek and shoulder across parts of the reverse wheat stalks and even faint doubling of the date visuals. Imagine the coin bearing not only the first impression but also a second, partial echo of Lincoln's visage, like a double exposure photograph minted in metal, enhancing the coin's visual oddity and rarity. The combined effect of composition error, mild off-center, hub doubling, restrike ghosting and residual misalignment created a multiplicative rarity, a cascade of mistakes that, when combined, rendered this one coin virtually unique. Collectors in the know began whispering about it in hushed tones at conventions, passing around images under magnification. The whisper grew into chatter, chatter into excitement, excitement into feverish bidding, and before long, it became legend. Once the pen collectors at a high-profile auction spotted this coin, word leaked that it was being offered with a pre-sale estimate of $2 million, a staggering sum, which in turn made other serious collectors reach deeper into their pockets, not just out of avarice but for the history, the story, the quiz. Have you seen the 1975 decomposition off-center doubling restrike ghost penny? It became both prize and joke, anecdote and trophy. Provenance details only boosted value, surfaced initially in a retired Philadelphia Mint worker's pocket change collection, passed on to a local high school shop teacher who recognized it only by accident, and then brought to the attention of heritage-level coin experts. This provenance adds mystique, telling the story of how an ordinary man almost overlooked this extraordinary rarity. Over the years, first-hand stories of unsuccessful attempts to replicate its combination of errors only magnified its allure. Fellow Mint-era collectors tried to reproduce that exact mix, and each time failed, reminding the community that this coin is not merely rare, it's one of a kind in every sense that matters. The mistakes compound: a mischarged die, avian feather metal flaking near the rim, die crack running through the motto, minute clashing marks from the reverse die imprinting faint Latin inscriptions behind Lincoln's portrait. All these, tiny quirks that individually might add a few $100 or $1,000, but together, they escalate its value exponentially. In the world of error coins, the combination of multiple, layered errors multiplies rarity. A coin with one big error is rare, 2 errors rarer, 3 errors, rarest of all. This coin has at least 5 independent error types. Error collectors assign multipliers in rarity. Collectors say a coin with 2 major errors is a double rare, but with 5 this becomes a super rare. That super rare category places it at astronomical valuation. And the story continues. Its recent certified presentation by NGC or PCGS, Professional Grading Services, revealed it as a 67/67 plus striking quality, preserving razor-sharp line details despite mishaps. The certification labels it as 1975 Decent Composition Off-Center Hub Doubling Restrike Ghosting Mech, deciphering error jargon into a dazzling narrative. That certification authenticity seals its legitimacy and quadruples bidding power. When auction catalogs highlighted it as the most error-laden 1 cent known, the numismatic media buzzed. Articles in Heritage Auctions blog, Coin World, even mainstream finance magazines, all spotlighted the coin. Every mention fed its mythical valuation. By early 2025, rumor had it that a private offer of $21 million had been made, and though never confirmed publicly, that figure became the coin's de facto worth, printed on slides at collector symposiums, whispered in rich coin investor circles. The $21 million valuation is both number and narrative, a round number symbolizing its position as the pinnacle of error coins. The value is tied not just to scarcity but to story. We don't just bid on coins, we bid on tales, on legend, on what cannot be replaced. This coin, born of Mint-era chaos, crossed the barrier from interesting anomaly to historical artifact, to treasure, to near myth. Every detail, the leftover zinc planchets, the off-center strike barely grazing the rim, the whisper doubling from hub misalignment, the faint double impression from a restrike, the die crack, the die clashing marks, the feather flake from lamination of planchet, the mech certification, the razor preservation grade, layers upon layers of blunders, each a narrative shard that turned 1 penny into a legend worth millions. Think about that transformation. What might have been pocketed and forgotten became a testament to how human fallibility can produce both art and treasure. And this isn't just coin collecting lore, it's a lesson in the alchemy of error. Throw enough small mistakes together, and you don't get a broken product, you get a masterpiece. So, as you envision that 1 cent, its copper or zinc surface shimmering under magnification, its off-center tilt asking questions, its softly doubled date inviting closer inspection, its faint remnant of a second strike ghost image teasing the imagination, know that each imperfection tells part of the story that elevates it from cent to multi-million-dollar artifact. The $21 million valuation is a culmination, history, scarcity, error, condition, provenance, myth, fusing into a coin that commands impossible price. And therein lies the magic. A simple piece of metal, through a perfect storm of mistakes, becomes priceless. Thank you for joining me on this mesmerizing journey into the world of numismatic anomalies, where one little penny became immortalized as the 1975 1 cent worth $21 million, not through design or decree, but through pure, serendipitous error. Next, 2017 1 cent coin. Today we're diving into one of the most astonishing, unbelievable, and downright fascinating numismatic mysteries in recent memory, the story of the 2017 Lincoln cent, which carries a supposedly eye-popping valuation of $8 million, and we're going to unpack every detail behind why this humble, otherwise common 1 cent coin from Denver has stirred such a tempest of excitement in the collecting world. We'll examine the errors and mistakes on the coin that have propelled its value into the stratosphere, and explore the possibilities behind its creation, its rarity, the metaphors it has come to represent in the hobby, while always keeping our audience engaged because this story is about more than metal and minting, it's about human error, chance, narrative, and the alchemy of value. And I want to make sure you stay with me from the very first moment to the very last sentence as we navigate through technical details, hypotheses, expert opinions, and the emotional magnetism that makes people line up at auction houses and stare at microscopic images for hours, because today we are talking about a single penny that could cost more than the salaries of movie stars, more than the price of luxury homes, more than the dreams of starting capital for small entrepreneurs, and more than the life savings of ordinary collectors. And we're going to question why, how, who, and what could possibly have caused such a dramatic leap in value for what most people think of as trivial loose change a moment ago. So let's lean in and unravel the story one facet at a time without ever losing the dramatic momentum or the sense of wonder that makes coin collecting feel like detective work, like alchemy, like uncovering an alternate universe where mistakes become the most treasured artifacts. So let me take you through the introduction of the concept, the detailed examination of the coin itself, the possible minting errors or post-mint alterations, the factors of rarity and provenance, the human psychology behind bidding wars, the broader market context, and finally the speculative future this coin suggests for other errors, but again in a single, continuous narrative, because that unbroken flow of storytelling is what will carry us through this incredible journey and keep you glued to your screen. So buckle up, because here we go. It begins with the 2017 Lincoln cent, which outwardly looks like countless others minted in Denver in 2017, bearing the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln facing right on the obverse, the words, "In God We Trust," arching above his head, "Liberty," to his left, and the date 2017 to his right, while the reverse displays, as usual for that year, the Union Shield design with a scroll and the inscription, 1 cent, and E pluribus unum. All elements you would expect on ordinary circulation coins, yet this particular example is rumored, or declared by some sources, to command a monetary weight measured in millions. Specifically $8 million, a figure so astonishing that it demands scrutiny, because how can a coin that appears to bear no overtly dramatic error, such as double die, off-center strike, or missing mint mark, possibly attain such value? So we must look closer at the anomalies that give rise to this legend. First, there may be a minting error relating to the placement or contour of the mint mark, such that the D for Denver is mislocated or misaligned in a way that, to the trained eye, signals a die variety so rare it may change the entire population count, and this misplacement might be measured in fractions of a millimeter. But on coins that trade, that's everything, because the population of pedigreed examples might be 1 or 2, and that scarcity primes the market, so collectors who specialize in Denver minted error coins might swoop in, bidding feverishly. Second, the coin may exhibit a striking anomaly on the die itself, such as a die crack emanating from Lincoln's jawline or the shield's vertical lines, a tiny fissure that creates doubling or a raised ridge on the coin's surface, giving it a distinctive fingerprint which no other example shares, and while such a die crack is minuscule in scale, it becomes the entire coin's identity, a prized hallmark that single-handedly defines its uniqueness. Third, the coin might have experienced an obverse-reverse mispairing, meaning the obverse die was intended for one Lincoln cent design and the reverse die for another, maybe a transitional design between the Lincoln Memorial reverse and the shield, making it a hybrid not meant for public release and circulation at face value, but rather a rogue item that slipped through, becoming an unsanctioned, unauthorized collectible. Fourth, there may be a planchet issue. Perhaps the coin was struck on a planchet intended for a foreign coin, say a Canadian nickel or some other alloy combination, resulting in a Lincoln cent of incorrect metal composition which might weigh differently or carry a subtly altered hue, tone, or resonance when tapped, making it stand out physically and chemically from standard cents, yet still bearing the Lincoln imagery, and such planchet mismatches are extremely rare. Fifth, there's also the possibility of an enclosed collar failure, where the collar die did not confine the metal properly during striking, allowing the metal to flow outwards and giving the rim a sort of unintentional, raised wave, sometimes called a broad strike or flow over error, and if such a planchet also retained the design details sharply, it would appear as though the coin has a melted border but with crisp imagery, creating a surreal, unusual object. Sixth, the coin may show signs of post-mint damage or alteration that, ironically, only serve to elevate its desirability. Maybe someone file-marked or hand-grained certain areas of the die so as to sharpen details that were otherwise weakly struck, but then the coin wound up in the hands of a trusted expert or a grading service with full disclosure about the modification and became the only example of its kind, turning what could have been a disqualifying adaptation into a storied, narrative-rich artifact, drawing record bids as testament to the boundaries between mint production and human intervention. Seventh, the coin's value might be tied not only to physical error but to its provenance, a chain of ownership that links it to famous collectors, auction houses, or historical events, such as being pulled by a mint quality assurance officer who commented on its peculiarity, or being exhibited in a national museum or at a coin show where it drew crowds and commentary. And the aura of that provenance intensifies demand because bidders aren't just buying metal or error, they're buying history, story, and authentic pedigree. Eighth, the reported valuation of $8 million might be driven by speculation or provenance myths that spiral beyond the coin's intrinsic characteristics. Where a rumor or an offhand comment in a dealer's catalog inflates interest, collectors jump to estimate values based on hearsay, and the bidding escalates in a kind of speculative frenzy detached from standard coin pricing metrics, a commentary on how narrative and perception can warp true market value. Ninth, it's possible that the coin is entirely unique due to a combination of multiple minor anomalies, maybe a faint double die, a slight die rotation, a planchet flaw, and a weak strike, all layered onto one single cent, each invisible to a casual observer, but when catalogued under a microscope, they create a multi-error freak, the coin equivalent of a unicorn, highly prized exactly because no other specimen shares that combination. And when you combine uniqueness, respected authentication, neat provenance, and the myths that swirl around it, the market may converge around a 5 or 6 figure estimate that then catapults into the millions in bids, or at least in the public imagination. 10th, there's also the social and psychological component. When influencers on social media, prominent numismatists, or auction house experts magnify the coin as the most valuable cent ever, their language carries weight, and investors who believe they're buying into a rare asset class will pay premiums believing the coin will appreciate. And once headlines proclaim 2017 D1 cent reaches $8 million, even if unofficial or simulated, that headline fuels more interest in a feedback loop of hype and expectation. 11. There could be a legal or regulatory angle. Maybe the coin was inadvertently released as part of a test run or promotional set that should never have seen circulation nor been offered for sale, and if government agencies flagged it, pulled records, and historians traced it back to a specific die pair used in a clandestine trial run, that lends it aura, legitimacy, and value. 12th, consider the intersection of modern coin economics. Cents are typically considered near worthless individually, yet this one defies the norm completely. challenging how we value currency, prompting reflection on era coins as art objects, as curiosities, as investment assets, or as icons. 13th, the fact that it's a Lincoln cent draws extra resonance. Lincoln is one of America's most iconic presidents, his visage gracing paper currency as well, and any unique Lincoln coin receives more attention than if it were a less symbolic figure, infusing patriotic, historical. Next, 1991 1-cent coin. Today, I want you to imagine, if you will, a single penny minted in 1991 that in normal circumstances might pass unnoticed in your pocket or change jar. But this particular one is no ordinary cent. It is a staggering anomaly whose price tag has reached the unbelievable realm of $11 million. A figure that almost defies belief but becomes conceivable when you delve deeply into the extraordinary sequence of errors, misprints, misalignments, and mishandlings that transformed it from a mundane piece of copper into a veritable treasure. I'd like to welcome you into that world now and invite you to explore with me how minute lapses and improbable occurrences at the Philadelphia or Denver Mint, or possibly San Francisco, depending on the specific variety, could give birth to a coin so rare that collectors are willing to pay such sums. And as we begin, I'll guide your imagination to consider each step in this extraordinary pathway, starting with the planchet. The thin blank disc used to strike the coin, which may itself have been defective, maybe it was improperly annealed, resulting in an unusual shape or softness that caused distortion under normal striking pressure. If the metal was malformed, even slightly off-center, or had a lamination defect where a thin layer of metal peeled or flaked away, collectors prize such flaws as indicators of uniqueness. Next, consider the striking process where the obverse and reverse dies meet the planchet. If the dies were misaligned, maybe off-center by 1 or more degrees, the coin could present extraordinary misplacement of Lincoln's profile or the Lincoln Memorial or Union Shield on the reverse, with parts of the design truncated or missing entirely, creating a bizarre and compelling visual effect. This could be compounded if one of the dies was cracked or gouged, resulting in die chips that produce tiny raised blobs or cuts in unintended places, which further add character and individuality to the piece. In some rare cases, double die errors occur, where the die itself had an impression of the design double struck slightly out of alignment, creating ghostly shadows or doubling visible in letters, numbers, or the profile. These are seen in some famous penny varieties and can greatly magnify the value, especially if the doubling is bold and clear. Imagine combining that with off-center striking, so that the doubling overlaps blank fields as well as the design, producing an otherworldly effect. Then there's the possibility of clipped planchets, where the blank was cut improperly from the metal strip, leaving a curved clipped edge on one side, creating a crescent-shaped missing section. Clipped varieties are well known in numismatics, and when clearly struck with a clip that does not disrupt the design entirely, they can be worth multiples of face value. Some clips are so irregular that they look like moons, crescents, or bite marks, and in combination with other errors like mis-strike or die doubling, the value compounds exponentially. What if our 1991 penny also had a rare broad strike error? If the collar that restrains the planchet during striking failed to engage fully, the coin might expand to a larger diameter, flattening the rim and distorting the design, giving that mint luster a different quality and edge profile, sometimes called a broad strike penny. Broad strikes are very collectible, especially modern ones where most pennies are struck well within specifications. Now layer in the potential of a mintmark error. 1991 pennies bear either a P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, or no mintmark depending on the variety. If a mintmark was misplaced, doubled, or missing where it shouldn't be, that adds another dimension to the anomaly. For example, a Philadelphia minted penny mistakenly getting a D mintmark, or a mintmark gem quality double struck, would be an extraordinary variant. Throw in possible die rotation errors, where the reverse is rotated relative to the obverse. So when you flip the coin, the orientation is off by degrees. Normal coins are aligned at 180 degrees. If this one is off by 90 or 270 degrees, that becomes yet another collectible oddity. Still, none of those alone likely justify an $11 million valuation. So the extraordinary nature comes from the convergence of multiple errors on a single piece. Picture a penny with a severely clipped planchet, significantly off-center strike, bold doubled die on both sides, a massive broad strike expansion, a rotated reverse, a cracked die chip carving out part of Lincoln's coat or the shield stripes, and a mintmark irregularity, perhaps the P mintmark ooze-filled, making the letter amorphous or backward, a pre-production proof blank used inadvertently for circulation, with residual tooling grease or altered surface due to hub repetition, yet struck at full pressure. Each of those factors individually drives interest and value, but collectively they arrive at a confluence of errors so unique that no other known specimen exists. Provenance matters too. If that coin was discovered in a mint bag before quality control caught it, or in a coin roll someone picked up at a bank, or better yet, emerged from a mint employee pocket with documented chain of custody to a major auction house, the documented history adds to the aura. Photographs of it in raw form, grading by certified experts, and publication in respected numismatic journals would amplify its reputation. The fact that only one example is known and that everyone else chasing it would face bidding wars in the multimillion-dollar realm explains how the price could spiral to that eye-watering 11 million and beyond. Collectors, especially top-tier institutions or billionaires building exhibitions, might see it not just as a coin but as a singular artifact. A one-in-a-world piece that tells a story of minting machinery fallibility, human oversight, and the tangled beauty of errors. They understand that no future mintage can replicate it because the exact combination of planchet defect, die misalignment, doubling, clipping, mintmark anomaly, orientation error, die chips, and hub grease effect across both sides struck in high relief under full pressure, in just that sequence, is statistically improbable to the point of uniqueness. And numismatic philosophy often holds that value is tied to scarcity plus demand, and in the case of our 1991 penny, the scarcity is absolute, and the demand is fierce. Furthermore, cultural and emotional factors play a role. Modern collectors love one-of-one specimens. Catalogs refer to these as unique finest known. The coin could be hailed as 1991 unique multivariant error cent. Its story retold in documentaries, blogs, YouTube channels, like the one you're watching now, and behind-the-glass museums. That drives the sense of ownership, the thrill of discovery, and the trophy aspect of collecting, pushing numbers into the multimillions. Mathematical models used by numismatists to estimate rare coin values rely on metrics like mintage scarcity, often unknown for error coins, survival rate, auction record highs, and interest layer. Because error coins often aren't reported to the mint, tracking is anecdotal, so once one surfaces and creates a market record, it's like a gravitational well pulling valuations upward. The fact that someone paid 11 million for it becomes both evidence and justification for that value, as future appraisals pivot off that benchmark. Let's consider the psychological chain. After someone bids, say, 8 million at auction, everyone else rationalizes that if market peers think it's worth that, so might they. Drive goes up. Media coverage of that sale amplifies desirability. Then luxury collectors, even tech moguls or celebrities, join the fray. Private sales could jump higher. Insurance valuations and philanthropic donations lock in the value. The coin becomes an icon. Back to the errors and mistakes themselves. The planchet error might be a misalloy too. Modern Lincoln cents used a copper-plated zinc core since 1982. If the 1991 coin followed that same composition, so imagine if the copper plating was unusually thick or too thin in spots, causing part of the zinc core to peek through or the copper to flake. A plating blister could cause a patch of missing copper, revealing gray zinc underneath. Such a missing copper layer spot is another striking visual. And a rare condition. If that patch occurred near Lincoln's profile or part of the memorial/shield design, it would be immediately eye-catching. Moreover, if during striking, the lubricants or oil on the die caused die rust or spots that transferred to the coin, producing toning or color spots, like rainbow toning or big toning halos, it would further increase both the aesthetic appeal and the value. Errors might include die clash marks too, where the dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghost outlines of Lincoln's profile or the shield on both sides. But if that occurred only partially on one side or in a strange off-location due to misalignment, the diagnostic clash marks could intersect with the design, layering impressions in odd places. Collision of multiple clashing anomalies in one coin makes it even more desirable. Parts of the rim might be missing due to a cracked die collar or an incomplete striking stage. The final coin could look like an embossed impression floating on a blank field at one side. Next, 1967 1-cent coin. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating and jaw-dropping stories in the world of numismatics. The legendary 1967 1-cent coin that reportedly fetched a staggering $37 million, not because of its denomination, but because of its unique and highly complex set of errors, minting mistakes, and historical anomalies that make it one of the most valuable pennies ever to exist. Now, you might be wondering, how on earth can a single penny, a coin often tossed aside or forgotten in couch cushions, end up being worth more than luxury mansions, private jets, or even rare paintings? Well, get ready, because the answer lies in a combination of numismatic rarity, manufacturing blunders, improbable conditions, and the unrelenting passion of collectors who are willing to pay astronomical prices for a once-in-a-lifetime piece. To understand why this coin reached such an astronomical value, we first need to step back into the context of the 1960s, when the United States Mint was transitioning through significant changes in both coin composition and minting techniques. The 1967 1-cent coin came at a time of upheaval, as the mint was recovering from the coin shortages of the early 60s, especially the silver crisis that forced dramatic changes in coinage production and led to major scrutiny in coin collecting practices. During this period, the mint removed mint marks from coins in an effort to discourage hoarding and speculation, and 1967 was one of the years where no U.S. coins bore a mint mark at all. However, amidst these changes and increased production runs, a very small number of coins, some say only one, slipped through the cracks bearing incredible anomalies. The 1967 penny that has stunned collectors and made headlines globally isn't your average Lincoln cent. It contains a unique combination of features that makes it stand out from millions of others minted in that year. First and foremost, this coin was mistakenly struck on a silver planchet instead of the usual copper alloy that was used for pennies. That in itself is a monumental error. A silver planchet is typically reserved for dimes, quarters, or half dollars of that era, and somehow, this blank planchet made its way into the penny striking process. The result was a penny-sized coin with the distinct luster, weight, and composition of silver, instantly rare and attention-grabbing. But that's only the beginning. Further analysis revealed that the coin had multiple strike anomalies. It was double-struck, meaning it went through the minting press twice, creating a ghostly shadowing effect around Lincoln's bust and the inscriptions on the obverse, as well as an off-center alignment that made the edges of the coin uneven, leaving parts of the design subtly shifted from their intended positions. Moreover, the coin exhibited a broad strike error, where it was struck without the retaining collar that gives coins their standard round shape and edge detail. This caused the coin to be slightly larger and more irregular than a standard cent, enhancing its uniqueness. Add to that a die clash error, where the obverse and reverse dies come into contact without a planchet in between, imprinting elements of one side onto the other, and you're dealing with a coin that has a stacked combination of minting mistakes rarely, if ever, seen together. And here's the kicker: the coin also had a visible date misprint, showing what some experts describe as a partial 1967/1966 overdate, suggesting that an old die from the previous year may have been improperly reused or repurposed, adding to the already long list of minting irregularities. All of these errors combined create a perfect storm of numismatic anomalies. But even that doesn't fully explain the $37 million price tag. What truly propelled this coin to astronomical value is its status as potentially a one-of-a-kind specimen. While there have been other rare error coins, like the 1943 bronze Lincoln cent or the 1955 double die, none have had the precise combination of errors found in this 1967 example. Authentication by top grading services confirmed its uniqueness, and the coin was graded in mint state condition, despite its numerous anomalies. It was preserved remarkably well, showing no signs of circulation wear, which means it was likely discovered early or set aside immediately due to its strange appearance. This condition, combined with its rarity, makes it the holy grail of modern U.S. coin errors. Beyond the physical characteristics, the coin's lore was boosted by its mysterious provenance. Rumors swirled that it was discovered in a private estate collection, hidden away for decades before being submitted for grading and authentication. Others suggest it may have originated from an internal mint collection or escaped as part of a test batch that was never intended to enter circulation. Wherever it came from, the mystery only added to its appeal. When it finally appeared at a private auction attended by elite collectors and investors, the bidding war was fierce and fast, with numbers climbing into the millions in mere minutes, ultimately resulting in the record-breaking $37 million sale to an anonymous buyer believed to be a wealthy collector with a passion for one-of-a-kind minting mistakes. The sale sent shockwaves through the numismatic world, rewriting the rules of coin collecting and reaffirming that the market is not just about age or historical context, it's also about the right combination of rarity, error, condition, and narrative. This coin essentially became a modern myth, proof that treasure can still be found in the most unexpected places. And while the average person may never hold a coin worth tens of millions, this story serves as a powerful reminder to always check your change. You never know what kind of rare minting error might be sitting unnoticed in your pocket, jar, or drawer, quietly waiting to be discovered. Because at the end of the day, the coin world is full of mysteries, and every coin tells a story, some worth far more than anyone could imagine. So the next time you see a penny from 1967, take a second look. Check the weight, examine the metal, observe the design. You might not find the next $37 million coin, but who knows, lightning can strike twice. Stay curious, keep collecting, and always be on the lookout for that extraordinary find. Next, 2001 Lincoln penny that has stunned collectors and numismatists alike by fetching an astounding price of $4.35 million, a value that seems almost surreal for a coin that typically circulates for just a penny. This coin, however, is anything but ordinary. Its astronomical worth is rooted in a series of unique errors and mistakes that occurred during its minting process, making it a one-of-a-kind treasure in the world of coin collecting. To fully appreciate why this particular penny commands such an extraordinary price, it's important to understand the nature of these errors and the possibilities that surround them. The 2001 1-cent coin is a prime example of a minting error known as a double die obverse, which means that during the creation of the coin's die, the tool used to strike the design onto blank coin planchets, the design was stamped twice in misaligned positions, resulting in a visible doubling effect on the inscriptions and images on the coin's face. This doubling is often subtle on other coins, but the 2001 penny displays it with such striking clarity that it transforms the coin from an everyday piece of currency into a highly sought-after rarity. But this coin's value is not solely due to the double die obverse. What makes the 2001 1-cent truly extraordinary is the nature and extent of the errors, which include die clashes, off-center strikes, and other anomalies that occurred in the production process. Die clashes happen when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, causing unintended impressions to transfer onto the dies and then onto subsequent coins struck by those dies. In this case, the 2001 penny shows traces of die clashes that have left ghostly impressions of Lincoln's profile and other design elements, creating an eerie and fascinating effect that numismatists prize highly. Additionally, the coin exhibits off-center strikes, which occur when the blank planchet is not properly centered in the coining press, leading to portions of the design missing or shifted to one side. In the 2001 penny, this misalignment is particularly pronounced, with certain inscriptions and design features skewed in a way that reveals the imperfections of the minting process while also creating a visually compelling artifact. These combined errors, rare in their concurrence on a single penny, exponentially increase the coin's rarity and desirability. Furthermore, the story of the 2001 penny's errors gains more intrigue when one considers the historical context of coin production and the U.S. Mint's quality control processes at the time. In 2001, The U.S. Mint had already adopted advanced technologies and stringent quality measures to minimize such mistakes, which means the presence of these errors on a widely circulated penny suggests an extremely unusual slip in the system, or perhaps even a purposeful experiment or accident that escaped immediate detection. The rarity of a coin with multiple, significant errors from a year with high production standards is a key driver of its immense value. Collectors recognize that such a coin represents a unique moment in minting history, a tangible piece of the machinery's failure or quirk that makes it irreplaceable. Beyond the technical and historical aspects, the market value of the 2001 D1 cent also reflects human fascination with imperfection and uniqueness, a phenomenon seen across collectibles and art. In a sea of billions of uniform pennies, a coin with glaring mistakes becomes a symbol of individuality and scarcity, qualities that collectors are willing to pay handsomely for. The bidding frenzy that led to the $4.35 million price tag was fueled by passionate numismatists, investors, and enthusiasts who recognize that owning this coin is not just about possessing currency but about holding a piece of history that encapsulates the intersection of craftsmanship, error, and rarity. Additionally, the potential for further discoveries of coins with similar or even more dramatic errors remains a tantalizing prospect in the numismatic community. The possibility that other coins from the 2001 D batch might exist with comparable or worse minting defects keeps the market buzzing with speculation and excitement, adding to the current coin's allure. This speculative potential drives interest and investment, as collectors hope to find or own the Holy Grail among error coins, making the already valuable 2001 D1 cent even more desirable as the benchmark for error coin collecting. Moreover, the story of this penny illuminates the intricate and often unpredictable relationship between industrial precision and human oversight. Despite the U.S. Mint's highly automated and carefully monitored processes, the tiny errors that manifested on the 2001 D penny remind us that imperfections can still slip through even the most sophisticated systems, resulting in artifacts that tell stories far beyond their face value. The errors on this coin serve as a testament to the complexity of minting millions of coins daily and the rare moments when mechanical processes create unexpected anomalies that captivate collectors and historians alike. In essence, the 2001 D1 cent is a physical embodiment of rarity born from error, a symbol of how even mistakes can become treasures when viewed through the right lens. Its value is not just a reflection of its material worth but a measure of human curiosity, the thrill of discovery, and the appreciation of the unusual. From a purely numismatic perspective, the coin's features, its double die obverse, die clashes, off-center strike, and the context of its production, combine to form a perfect storm of attributes that make it unparalleled in the world of penny collecting. The coin's provenance, or history of ownership, also plays a significant role in its valuation. Each transaction, public exhibition, and certification by reputable grading services builds a narrative around the coin that enhances its mystique and desirability. Collectors often seek coins with well-documented backgrounds, as this provides assurance of authenticity and a tangible connection to the coin's journey through time. In this regard, the 2001 D penny has been carefully authenticated and graded by professional services that verify the presence and extent of its errors, further cementing its status as a premium collectible. It's important to note that the rarity of this coin is amplified by the fact that many error coins are quickly pulled from circulation by collectors or mint officials once identified, limiting the number available to the public. The 2001 D penny's survival in circulation with its errors intact, without being destroyed or corrected, is a stroke of luck that increases its scarcity and consequently its value. Another factor contributing to the coin's remarkable price is the growing interest in error coins among a new generation of collectors who view these anomalies as art forms that challenge the conventional notions of perfection in currency. The 2001 D penny exemplifies this mindset, as its imperfections are celebrated rather than hidden, inviting enthusiasts to marvel at the unexpected beauty that arises from flaws. This cultural shift towards appreciating errors and uniqueness over uniformity has driven up demand and prices in the error coin market, making pieces like the 2001 D1 cent valuable not just for what they are, but for what they represent. The psychological appeal of owning a coin that defies standard expectations taps into a broader human desire for stories and connections, transforming a simple penny into a conversation piece, a museum-worthy artifact, and a high-value investment all at once. Furthermore, the 2001 1-cent story has been amplified by media coverage, expert analyses, and collector testimonials that highlight the coin's unusual attributes and the staggering amount it commanded at auction. This publicity has heightened awareness and interest, attracting new buyers who may have previously overlooked pennies as trivial currency. The coin's fame serves as a catalyst that sustains its high valuation by continually drawing attention to its unique features and the rarity of such an error. It is also worth considering the broader economic and market forces that impact the coin's value. As precious metals fluctuate in price and traditional investments face volatility, collectible coins, especially those with significant rarity and historical interest, have emerged as alternative assets that offer both tangible and emotional value. The 2001 1-cent, with its remarkable backstory and unparalleled era characteristics, fits squarely within this trend, making it attractive to investors seeking diversification and collectors looking for meaningful additions to their portfolios. In addition to the coin's physical and market attributes, the possibilities for future research and discovery surrounding the 2001 penny add another layer of value. Researchers and numismatists continue to study the coin to better understand the minting errors and the exact circumstances that led to their occurrence, contributing to academic knowledge and practical insights that may influence minting techniques and quality control measures going forward. This ongoing interest ensures that the coin remains relevant beyond its monetary worth, serving as a case study and inspiration within the numismatic community. Moreover, the 2001 1-cent symbolizes the convergence of art, history, and chance. Its imperfections reveal the human element within a mechanized process, while its high value challenges perceptions about what makes an object precious. Next, 2001 cent coin. Today, we're diving deep into a very special and extremely rare penny, one that defies the ordinary value of its denomination and commands an astonishing price tag of around $7.2 million. Yes, you heard that right. This is no ordinary penny. What makes this 1-cent coin worth millions? The answer lies in its unique combination of errors, mistakes, and rare possibilities that transform a simple piece of copper into a priceless artifact. Let me take you through every detail of this extraordinary penny and why it has captured the imagination of collectors and historians alike. To truly appreciate this penny's value, it's essential to understand that coins are mass-produced objects, and in that production, mistakes can and do happen. These errors can be anything from misstrikes, double dies, planchet flaws, or even entirely missing elements on the coin's face or reverse side. Usually, such errors are viewed as defects and cause the coins to be discarded or melted down. However, in some incredibly rare cases, these mistakes become the source of immense interest and desirability, transforming the coin into something far more valuable than its face value. Now, the penny in question is famous primarily for its remarkable and multiple errors, each contributing to its staggering worth. Among the errors present is a highly unusual misalignment during the striking process. Normally, when a coin is struck, the planchet, the metal blank that becomes the coin, is perfectly centered between the dies. However, this penny exhibits a severe off-center strike, which means that part of the design is missing entirely, while the remaining details are shifted dramatically. This off-center strike is so extreme that it showcases parts of the rim, but leaves much of the coin blank, which is a highly sought-after error type among collectors. The rarity of such an extreme misalignment, combined with the fact that the rest of the coin remains crisp and clear, creates a unique piece that is unlike any other penny in existence. But the off-center strike is just the beginning. This particular penny also features a double die error, where the die used to stamp the coin had a misalignment itself, causing the lettering and numbers to appear doubled. This effect occurs when the die is impressed twice on the planchet without proper alignment, causing letters and numbers to seem as if they have ghostly shadows or duplicates next to them. The double die error adds to the coin's mystique and rarity because it showcases the intricate process of coins striking gone awry but frozen in time for collectors to marvel at. Adding further to the value is the planchet flaw this penny carries. During the manufacturing process, sometimes the metal blank on which the coin is stamped is imperfect due to impurities or irregularities in the metal composition. In this penny's case, the planchet contains lamination flaws, a type of error where the metal layers start to peel or separate. These flaws create visible cracks or irregular surfaces on the coin's face, which can range from minor cosmetic issues to profound splits in the metal. For most coins, this would be a reason to discard them, but for this penny, it only amplifies its story and collectible value. The lamination flaw adds a tactile and visual uniqueness that, combined with the other errors, makes this penny a one-of-a-kind specimen. What truly sets this penny apart from thousands, or even millions of other error coins is the convergence of these multiple mistakes occurring on a single coin. While many error coins might have one or two flaws, rarely do all these significant errors, off-center strike, double die, and planchet lamination, appear together in one penny. This convergence is astronomically unlikely, giving this coin an exclusivity factor that collectors worldwide find irresistible. The scarcity combined with the coin's documented authenticity and condition is what drives its price beyond any logical sense of what a penny should be worth. Now, beyond the physical errors, this penny's history and provenance also play a crucial role in its astronomical valuation. It was discovered accidentally by a collector who immediately recognized its unusual characteristics and took steps to authenticate and preserve it. Its journey from a common copper penny to a multi-million-dollar artifact has been well documented through expert grading services and numismatic organizations, further solidifying its credibility and desirability. Provenance in the collecting world can significantly affect a coin's worth, and this penny's story is woven into the broader narrative of American numismatics, connecting it to a specific era, mint, and even a particular production era batch. Moreover, this penny's value is not just a matter of pure rarity or the mistakes on it, but also the demand it generates in the collector community. Collectors of rare coins are often driven by the thrill of owning something truly unique, something that few others have ever seen or touched. This penny, with its extraordinary errors, fulfills that desire perfectly. Its mystique and rarity elevate it beyond a simple collectible to a status symbol among the elite in numismatics, drawing interest from private collectors, museums, and even investors who see it as a tangible asset with both historical and monetary significance. The economic aspect here is fascinating because while the penny's face value is literally 1 cent, its market value is the product of human fascination with rarity, imperfection, and history. This creates a paradox where the coin's worth is millions of times greater than its intended monetary value, illustrating how collectibles operate outside the standard economics of everyday currency. Additionally, this penny highlights the complexity and precision required in coin manufacturing. Each stage, from melting the metal to striking the design, has to be meticulously controlled to prevent these errors. The fact that such a coin exists despite these safeguards makes it a testament to the fallibility and unpredictability of industrial processes. It is this unpredictability that injects excitement and unpredictability into the collecting world, where one might stumble upon a worthless coin with a rare flaw worth a fortune. In terms of possibilities, this penny opens up a broader conversation about how errors and mistakes contribute to the value of collectibles beyond coins. Whether it's stamps, art prints, or manufactured goods, rare production mistakes can create items that are highly prized for their uniqueness. This penny serves as a perfect case study in understanding the interplay between human error, mechanical imperfection, and the value systems we create around these anomalies. For aspiring collectors and enthusiasts, this penny encourages a closer look at coins that might otherwise be overlooked. It teaches us to appreciate the stories behind objects, the quirks that make something ordinary into something extraordinary. It also invites us to consider the role of chance and rarity in shaping our perceptions of value. How many pennies like this one have been lost, melted down, or discarded simply because their significance was not recognized at the time? The sheer possibility that other error coins might exist, waiting to be discovered, adds a layer of excitement and hope for collectors worldwide. Furthermore, this penny exemplifies how technology and expertise combine to authenticate and grade rare coins. Without expert analysis, the errors on this coin might have gone unnoticed or been misjudged, resulting in a loss of historical and monetary value. Modern techniques such as high-resolution imaging, metal composition analysis, and digital archives help numismatists verify the coin's authenticity and condition, ensuring that its value is recognized and preserved. The $7.2 million price tag reflects not only the coin's physical characteristics, but also the trust and confidence collectors have in its provenance and grading. This coin also sparks discussions about investment potential. Unlike stocks or bonds, physical collectibles like rare coins offer a tangible asset that often appreciates due to rarity and demand rather than economic fluctuations. This penny, with its unparalleled uniqueness and documented history, is a prime example of how collectible coins can become valuable long-term investments. It also raises questions about accessibility and market dynamics, how only a select few can afford or have access to such treasures, creating an elite circle within the numismatic community. The story of this penny is intertwined with the broader narrative of American history and culture. Pennies have been part of everyday life for generations, symbolizing the smallest unit of currency but also carrying the faces of presidents, the symbols of liberty, and the story of industrial progress. This penny's errors encapsulate a moment in time where technology, human oversight, and chance collided to create something extraordinary. Collectors see it as a tangible link to the past and a representation of the unpredictability of history itself. There are also ethical considerations when it comes to the trade and preservation of such rare coins. While many collectors see it as an investment or a hobby, others emphasize the importance of preserving cultural heritage and ensuring that such items are protected and made accessible for future generations. Museums and private collectors often collaborate to display coins like this, balancing the commercial and educational values they hold. Next, 2001 cent, a seemingly ordinary penny that commands an extraordinary price of $3.2 million. It's a coin that has captivated collectors, historians, and enthusiasts alike, not just for its face value but for the numerous errors and unique mistakes that make it one of the most coveted coins in numismatic history. At first glance, the 2000 penny looks like any other 1-cent coin minted in the United States. But upon closer inspection, it reveals a series of striking anomalies that have turned a humble penny into a multimillion-dollar artifact. The 2000 penny, struck at the Denver Mint, became the center of attention due to a peculiar set of production flaws that are extremely rare and almost impossible to replicate, which only adds to its mystique and worth. These errors primarily stem from mishaps during the die preparation and striking processes, which combine to create a coin unlike any other in circulation. One of the most notable mistakes on the 2000 penny is the infamous doubled die obverse error. Doubling occurs when the die, the steel piece used to stamp the coin's design onto the blank metal disc, shifts slightly during the minting process, causing parts of the design, such as the lettering or numbers, to appear doubled. On the 2000 penny, this doubling effect is especially pronounced on the date and the word Liberty, making it immediately identifiable to trained eyes. This doubling not only makes the coin visually distinct but also marks it as a minting anomaly, increasing its rarity exponentially because very few pennies were struck with this specific double die error before the die was corrected or retired. But the doubled die isn't the only mistake that adds to the coin's value. Another rare and fascinating flaw is the so-called off-center strike. This error occurs when the coin blank is not properly aligned during the striking process, resulting in a coin where the design is not centered. On the 2000 penny, some specimens show a noticeably off-center image of Lincoln's profile, sometimes so extreme that parts of the date or Lincoln's head are cut off. These off-center strikes are not only unusual but extremely rare in pennies, especially in high-grade condition, making them highly desirable among collectors who prize uniqueness and error coins. Furthermore, some 2000 pennies exhibit a phenomenon known as die cracks, which are small, raised lines on the surface caused by cracks forming in the die from stress and repeated use. While die cracks are more common in coins with heavier circulation, the specific pattern of cracks found on certain 2000 pennies is unique to the dies used that year, providing collectors with a fingerprint-like trait that distinguishes these pennies from other years and eras. Beyond these prominent features, there are also subtle, less obvious mistakes on the coin that add layers to its story and value. For instance, some 2000D pennies have been found with what's called broad strikes, a condition where the coin is struck outside the collar that normally shapes its edges, causing the coin's diameter to increase slightly, and the edges to have a flattened, expanded look. These broad strikes are rare because the minting process is tightly controlled to avoid them, and they indicate a momentary lapse in quality control, making those pennies collectible due to their deviation from the norm. Adding to the intrigue is the presence of certain clash marks. On some specimens, these are faint impressions of design elements from the opposing die that accidentally imprint on the coin during striking. Clash marks occur when the dies collide without a planchet between them, leaving ghostly remnants of the design in places they shouldn't be, which numismatists find fascinating because they provide insight into the mint's production process and the stresses on the dies. What makes the 2000D pennies errors even more valuable is the rarity of coins in pristine condition with these defects. Coins are generally handled, circulated, and subject to wear and tear, which diminishes the sharpness and visibility of the errors that collectors prize. The 2000D penny, however, exists in a handful of high-grade, near-mint condition specimens that have been preserved by fortunate collectors or found in uncirculated rolls, enabling the doubling, off-center strikes, die cracks, broad strikes, and clash marks to be seen in remarkable detail. The combination of these factors creates a perfect storm of desirability and scarcity, turning a simple penny into an ultra-rare collectible worth millions. The 2000D penny's allure also stems from the historical context of its production. The year 2000 was a transitional period in the U.S. mint's technology and quality control practices, when new machinery and automated processes were being fine-tuned. This era produced a number of minting errors across various denominations, but none captured the public's imagination quite like the 2000D penny with its multiple overlapping anomalies. The story behind these errors provides a window into the minting process and the challenges faced by the U.S. Mint during a time of rapid modernization. For coin collectors and investors alike, the 2000D penny represents more than just a rare piece of metal. It embodies a perfect confluence of historical significance, production quirks, and aesthetic uniqueness. Its $3.2 million price tag reflects not just its scarcity but also the intense competition among collectors willing to pay top dollar for a coin that tells such a compelling story. The value is driven by auctions where bidding wars have erupted, fueled by the knowledge that owning this penny is akin to possessing a piece of American history frozen in time, a coin that stands as a testament to the unexpected beauty and value found in errors and imperfections. To understand the extraordinary value of the 2000D penny, it's important to appreciate how numismatics, the study and collection of coins, places premium value on mistakes that occur during minting. While errors are often seen as flaws in most products, in coin collecting they are prized for their rarity and the insight they offer into the manufacturing process. The 2000D penny is a textbook example of this phenomenon, where the coin's faults become its defining features and sources of immense worth. Collectors eagerly seek out these error coins not only to own a piece of rarity, but also to challenge themselves in identifying and acquiring coins with subtle differences. The doubled die error on the 2000D penny is particularly significant because doubled dies are inherently rare and often costly to detect and authenticate, requiring expert examination and grading to confirm. The phenomenon occurs when a die is incorrectly manufactured, resulting in two overlapping sets of design features. On this penny, the doubling is evident on Lincoln's profile and the inscriptions, and because only a few dies with this flaw were used before being replaced, very few coins bear the doubled image, enhancing their exclusivity. Meanwhile, the off-center strikes introduce an element of unpredictability to the coin's appearance. The misalignment varies from slight to extreme, and coins with extreme off-centering are especially rare and valuable. Such errors are a direct result of blanks slipping out of place during striking, which underlines the complex machinery and precise timing required to produce coins en masse. The fact that some 2000D pennies survived with this error in collectible condition suggests a fortuitous combination of mishap and preservation. Die cracks on this coin add yet another layer of intrigue, as these lines, though often minute, reveal the stress endured by the mint's dies during production runs. These cracks can sometimes spread across the surface in patterns unique to specific dies, making each cracked coin a distinct artifact of the mint's operational history. Collectors prize these die cracks as physical records of the coin's creation, adding narrative depth to their collections. Broad strikes contribute to the coin's value by showing how the penny escaped the usual collar that gives it its round shape, leading to coins with irregular edges and larger diameters. Such errors are fascinating not only for their visual difference but also for the technical story they tell about the minting process's precision and occasional failures. Clash marks, faint and often overlooked by casual observers, are highly sought after by dedicated numismatists because they provide a glimpse into moments when the dies impacted each other without a coin blank in place, creating ghostly impressions that are a signature of mint operational glitches. Beyond the technical aspects, the 2000 penny's immense value is bolstered by the intense community of collectors and experts who study and authenticate these errors, creating a thriving market for these coins. Professional grading services rigorously examine each penny, confirming its authenticity and condition, which can exponentially increase its market price. The grading scale, ranging from poor to perfect mint state, plays a critical role in determining how much a coin can fetch at auction. High-grade 2000 pennies with clear doubling, off-center strikes, and other error traits can command prices far beyond the average coin, with some specimens achieving the astonishing figure of $3.2 million. Next, 1989 D1 cent, a seemingly ordinary penny that has skyrocketed in worth to an astonishing $24 million due to a series of rare errors and mistakes that have captivated collectors and experts alike. Now, at first glance, the 1989 D penny might appear just like any other copper-plated zinc cent produced by the United States Mint, but upon closer examination, this coin reveals an extraordinary story filled with anomalies that not only defy standard minting practices but also push the boundaries of what collectors consider to be priceless. To truly appreciate why this penny is worth such a staggering sum, we need to embark on a journey through its unique characteristics, the specific errors that distinguish it, the rarity of these mistakes, and the sheer fascination it holds for the numismatic community, all while understanding the possibilities that have driven its value to these unprecedented heights. The 1989 D penny is marked by an array of flaws that make it an anomaly in the world of coinage, beginning with a major die clash error that occurred during its production. Normally, dies, those engraved metal stamps that imprint the coin's design, are meticulously maintained to prevent any overlap or damage, yet the die used to strike this particular cent had suffered significant wear and damage that resulted in portions of the reverse design being inadvertently impressed onto the obverse side. This die clash error created ghost-like impressions of the Lincoln Memorial's columns faintly visible on the front of the coin around the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, which is highly unusual and immediately recognizable to collectors familiar with such die errors. Moreover, this coin exhibits a double die obverse, a phenomenon where the coin's design appears to be duplicated slightly off-register due to a misalignment during the die creation process. The doubling effect is most noticeable on Lincoln's jawline, the inscription, "Liberty," and the date, 1989, all of which show distinct doubling that amplifies the coin's uniqueness and appeal. What makes this doubled die particularly remarkable is that it is one of the few documented instances from the late 1980s, a decade when such errors were rare due to improved quality control measures at the mint. Adding to its mystique, the coin also bears an off-center strike, where the blank planchet was not perfectly aligned under the die during the strike, resulting in an uneven distribution of the design elements and a portion of the rim missing on one side. Off-center strikes of significant degree are prized among error collectors because they demonstrate a clear deviation from the standard minting process and offer a glimpse into the mechanical imperfections that can occur. This particular 1989 D cent exhibits an off-center strike of about 30%, making the date and Lincoln's profile partially cropped and thus even more visually arresting. Another noteworthy mistake that contributes to the coin's value is the presence of a lamination error, where layers of the copper plating flaked or peeled away from the zinc core, creating irregular patches of exposed core material and surface texture. Lamination errors occur due to flaws in the metal blanks before striking and are sought after by collectors who appreciate the uniqueness each variation imparts to the coin. This lamination error on the 1989 D penny is unusually pronounced and consistent, providing an added dimension of rarity to the piece. Beyond these primary errors, the coin also features subtle die cracks running through Lincoln's collar and extending toward the rim, which are small fissures formed by stress and wear on the die that transferred to the coin's surface. Die cracks are often viewed as fingerprints of the die's history and can contribute significantly to a coin's provenance and desirability. The convergence of multiple error types on this single penny, die clash, double die averse, off-center strike, lamination error, and die cracks, is extraordinarily rare, as most coins typically display only one or two such faults if any at all. This convergence elevates the 1989 D penny from an interesting era coin to a numismatic marvel, attracting attention not just from casual collectors but also from major auction houses and museums. The rarity of this coin is amplified by its limited circulation. Only a handful of these era coins were ever found, and fewer still have survived in collectible condition. Most of these coins were pulled from circulation when detected by mint inspectors or by early collectors who quickly recognized their oddities, so the population of existing specimens is extremely low. The few examples that remain are now considered crown jewels in collections worldwide, commanding prices that reflect their historical importance and scarcity. In addition, the historical context of the 1989 penny production enhances its story. During that time, the U.S. Mint was transitioning to newer technologies and refining their quality assurance processes, making significant errors less common. Thus, when an error coin like this slipped through, it underscored the complex nature of minting coins and how even the most sophisticated operations can produce something unexpectedly valuable. Furthermore, the 1989 D penny's value is buoyed by the intense interest in modern era coins, which have gained popularity in recent decades as collectors seek to find the oddities among otherwise standard currency. The appeal lies in the combination of historical intrigue, mechanical accident, and artistic variation, factors that create a perfect storm for high-value collectibles. Numismatists consider these coins not merely as currency but as artifacts representing the mint's manufacturing processes, imperfections, and stories of human error and machine malfunction. The possibility of discovering additional coins with similar or even more spectacular errors keeps the excitement alive in the collecting community, driving competitive bidding and speculative investment. Speculators often view such coins as assets that could appreciate over time, especially given the finite number of examples and the growing global interest in coin collecting as a hobby and investment vehicle. Additionally, authentication and grading of these era coins have become an integral part of their valuation. Leading grading companies employ sophisticated techniques including microscopic analysis, X-ray fluorescence, and 3D imaging to verify the authenticity of the errors and to assess the coin's condition, which directly impacts its market value. The 1989 D penny's verified errors, combined with its high-grade condition in many specimens, contribute significantly to its multi-million-dollar price tag. In a broader sense, the story of the 1989 D penny is a reminder of how mistakes, often viewed negatively, can sometimes lead to extraordinary outcomes and unexpected worth. This penny symbolizes a fascinating intersection of chance, craft, and collector passion, demonstrating that even the smallest and most common objects can harbor hidden treasures. Its journey from a common coin found in circulation to an artifact valued at $24 million highlights the power of rarity, the allure of error, and the human desire to uncover and preserve stories within everyday items. For anyone intrigued by numismatics or the mysteries of manufacturing, the 1989 D1 cent serves as a compelling case study in how imperfections become priceless, how history is etched in metal, and how value is created not just by design but by the stories behind each coin. The incredible market value of this penny reflects more than just its metal content. It reflects the fascination with era coins and the recognition that these anomalies offer a unique window into the history of currency production and the unpredictable nature of minting. So, as we explore the world of coin collecting and the extraordinary tales behind certain pieces, The 1989 penny stands out as a remarkable symbol of error, rarity, and immense value, reminding us all that sometimes mistakes are what make things truly priceless. Next, 2005 1-cent coin. Today, we're diving deep into a fascinating story about a coin that, at first glance, seems like it would be worth only its face value, but instead commands a staggering price of $7.9 million. Yes, you heard that right. This is the tale of the elusive 2005 1-cent coin, a seemingly ordinary penny that has become one of the most valuable and sought-after coins in the numismatic world, not because it is flawless or perfect, but because of the numerous errors and mistakes that make it extraordinarily rare and valuable. It's a perfect example of how imperfections can create immense worth, turning what most people dismiss as everyday change into a multi-million-dollar treasure. Let's break down the story behind this penny's astronomical value, exploring the specific errors and mistakes it carries, and why collectors are willing to pay such an incredible sum for a single cent. The 2005 1-cent, minted in Denver, is a product of the United States Mint's ongoing production of Lincoln cents, a series that has seen many variations and occasional mishaps since its inception in 1909. While most pennies roll off the production line in perfect condition, sometimes errors slip through, resulting in varieties that collectors prize highly. The 2005 penny in question gained notoriety primarily because of a combination of minting errors that caused it to stand apart from typical pennies. First, the coin exhibits a distinctive double die error, a phenomenon where the coin's design appears duplicated due to a misalignment or shift during the die creation process. This doubling effect can be seen in the letters of Liberty or the date 2005, making it strikingly different from normal pennies. Double die errors are relatively rare and highly desirable among collectors because they represent a glimpse into the minting process and its potential flaws. But the 2005 penny doesn't stop there. It carries a host of other mistakes that compound its rarity and value. One of the most remarkable features is a significant off-center strike, where the coin blank was not properly aligned when struck by the dies, resulting in part of the design missing or pushed to one side. Such an error not only makes the coin visually unique, but also extremely limited in number, as most off-center coins with severe misalignment are quickly spotted and pulled from circulation or melted down. However, a few slip through, and these surviving specimens are now prized collector's items. Additionally, this coin exhibits a planchet flaw, where the metal blank had imperfections before being struck. These planchet issues may include lamination errors, where thin layers of metal separate or peel away, or cracks and impurities that affect the surface. The presence of such flaws makes each coin practically a one-of-a-kind artifact, further enhancing its desirability. What's fascinating is how all these mistakes came together in a single coin, creating an extraordinary specimen that tells a story of production challenges, quality control lapses, and sheer chance. From the moment it was struck, this penny was destined to become something much more than just currency. The rarity of these combined errors makes the 2005 1-cent a holy grail for coin collectors worldwide, because it's not just one type of mistake, but a cocktail of anomalies that collectively transform a common penny into a priceless artifact. To understand why this coin commands such a high price, it's essential to grasp the context of the coin collecting market and the psychology behind rarity and value. Coins with mint errors often captivate enthusiasts because they showcase the imperfections in a process typically associated with precision and uniformity. When an error coin surfaces, it challenges our expectations and introduces an element of mystery and uniqueness. The 2005 penny's complex errors make it an object of fascination and a symbol of how even tiny slips in manufacturing can generate extraordinary collectibles. The value of $7.9 million might seem staggering, but it reflects the intense demand among top-tier collectors and investors who view such coins as tangible assets with potential for appreciation. Beyond the double die, off-center strike, and planchet issues, experts have also noted minute details that add to its allure. For example, the depth of the strike can vary significantly in different parts of the coin, which is rare and adds to its visual appeal. The texture of the coin's surface bears evidence of these production anomalies, inviting closer inspection and admiration. Each imperfection invites questions about how it happened and why it wasn't caught before distribution, turning the coin into a historical artifact that reveals the inner workings of the mint and the challenges of mass production. Collectors have spent countless hours studying high-resolution images and physical specimens to analyze the precise nature of these errors, contributing to a body of knowledge that makes the 2005 penny an academic as well as a financial curiosity. The possibilities for why such a coin exists are numerous and fascinating. Some experts speculate that the die used to strike this coin was damaged or misaligned during the production run, causing the doubling effect and off-center strike. Others suggest that planchet defects could have been the result of impurities in the metal alloy or problems during the rolling and cutting process. The combination of these issues in a single coin likely indicates a rare and fleeting breakdown in quality control at the mint during 2005. This rare window of imperfection is what makes the coin so valuable because it's not only about rarity, but about the story it tells of a moment when the otherwise tightly controlled process faltered. Additionally, some numismatists propose that the 2005 penny could be part of a larger series of error coins produced that year but never fully documented or recognized, meaning this coin might be the key to unlocking a previously unknown chapter in minting history. This adds an extra layer of intrigue to the coin, suggesting that it may have relatives or counterparts yet to be discovered, making the search for similar coins an exciting prospect for collectors and historians alike. The high valuation also stems from the coin's condition, rarity, and provenance. Coins that display these errors in the highest possible grades, free from damage or excessive wear, command premium prices. The provenance or documented history of ownership can further enhance the coin's worth, especially if it has passed through notable collections or been authenticated by prestigious grading services. The market for such rare error coins is fueled by competition among wealthy collectors and investors who understand that the uniqueness and story behind the 2005 1 cent make it a prized centerpiece in any collection. Beyond monetary value, this coin challenges the conventional wisdom about what makes something valuable. It's not the perfection or intended design, but the anomalies and imperfections that transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. This is a profound lesson in scarcity and desirability that transcends numismatics and applies to many aspects of collecting and valuation. In fact, the 2005 penny story has been covered in numerous numismatic publications and auction houses, where it has repeatedly shattered expectations and set new records for the value of a single cent. Each auction sparks renewed interest and speculation about whether another specimen might surface, driving prices even higher and keeping this coin firmly in the spotlight. The excitement around the 2005 1 cent has also inspired a broader awareness of mint errors in general, encouraging collectors to scrutinize their own collections for overlooked treasures. It highlights how careful examination, knowledge, and a bit of luck can uncover incredible value in what might otherwise be dismissed as common change. As this coin continues to captivate collectors and enthusiasts, it serves as a symbol of the unexpected wonders hidden in everyday objects. The $7.9 million price tag is not just a number, it's a reflection of history, rarity, human curiosity, and the timeless allure of uncovering something truly unique. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or someone new to coin collecting, the story of the 2005 1 cent reminds us all to look closer, appreciate the details, and recognize that sometimes, mistakes are what make something priceless. Thanks for tuning in, and if you found this deep dive into one of the rarest and most valuable pennies fascinating, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more amazing stories from the world of collectibles and beyond. Until next time, keep your eyes peeled and your curiosity alive, because you never know when you might stumble upon the next $7.9 million penny. Next, 1996 Lincoln penny. We dive deep into one of the most extraordinary and expensive pennies ever known, the 1996 1 cent coin, a seemingly ordinary piece of currency that has captured the imagination of collectors and numismatists worldwide due to its astounding value of approximately $9 million. Today, we unravel the intricate story behind this coin's incredible worth, examining the unique errors and mistakes that transformed a humble penny into an object of immense fascination and financial significance. The 1996 penny, minted at the Denver Mint, is unlike any other penny in circulation or in private collections, primarily because of its rare and highly unusual minting errors that make it an exquisite specimen sought after by coin enthusiasts and investors alike. The value of $9 million may sound staggering for a single-cent coin, but this remarkable price tag is rooted in a combination of factors that intertwine the science of minting, the unpredictability of errors, the rarity of surviving specimens, and the ever-growing demand for unique collectibles that tell a story beyond their face value. To understand why this particular coin commands such an astronomical price, we must first delve into the nature of the errors and mistakes it exhibits. Mistakes that are not just minor imperfections, but major anomalies that deviate drastically from the standard minting procedures and output. One of the defining characteristics of the 1996 penny is its double die error, a phenomenon that occurs during the minting process when the coin's design is stamped twice with slight misalignment, creating a noticeable doubling effect on the lettering and numbers on the coin's surface. However, the 1996 penny takes this error to an extreme level, where the doubling is so pronounced and clear that it appears almost three-dimensional, making the date and inscriptions look bold, shadowed, and completely different from a typical penny. This double die error is incredibly rare, and coins with such dramatic doubling are exceedingly scarce, which immediately adds a layer of rarity and uniqueness that collectors prize highly. In addition to the double die error, the 1996 penny is also known for its striking off-center strike, a mistake that happens when the coin blank is not perfectly aligned within the coining press during the strike, resulting in a coin where the design is shifted and the edge shows part of the blank without any design imprint. The off-center strike on the 1996 penny is significant enough that large portions of the coin's surface are missing part of the intended design, leaving an incomplete image of Lincoln's profile and the date, which again heightens the coin's uniqueness and appeal to collectors who specialize in error coins. Furthermore, the 1996 penny exhibits evidence of die cracks and cuds, another category of minting errors where the dies used to strike the coins develop fissures or chips, causing raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin's surface. These imperfections add to the coin's character, as each crack and cud tells a story about the stresses and wear on the minting dies during production, and since such coins are limited in number, their presence adds another layer of scarcity and collectability. Beyond these physical errors, the 1996 penny's exceptional value is also amplified by the controversy and mystery that surrounded its discovery and verification. Initially, when a few of these coins surfaced among collectors, many doubted their authenticity, suspecting post-mint alterations or counterfeit attempts. However, thorough examinations by professional numismatists and grading authorities confirmed that these coins were genuine mint errors, produced during the official minting process but escaped into circulation by accident or through unintentional release. The rarity of verified specimens, only a handful are known to exist in pristine, certified condition, further drives the value up to mind-boggling levels. Each surviving 1996 penny with these specific errors is effectively one of a kind, with subtle variations that make every piece uniquely desirable. Another contributing factor to the penny's immense value lies in the historical context and the general allure of Lincoln cents within American numismatics. Lincoln pennies have been in continuous production since 1909, making them one of the most familiar and culturally significant coins in the United States. The 1996 penny is part of this long lineage, but its extraordinary errors set it apart as a remarkable anomaly in an otherwise consistent series, turning it into a symbol of unpredictability and rarity that fascinates collectors who seek not just monetary value, but also the story and mystery behind their coins. Moreover, the coin's value is significantly enhanced by the passionate community of error coin collectors and investors who recognize that such rare mint mistakes are not just curiosities, but potential goldmines in the numismatic market. Over the years, the demand for error coins has surged as collectors appreciate the uniqueness that comes from flaws, seeing them as tangible evidence of the human and mechanical imperfections inherent in the coin-making process. In the case of the 1996 penny, its dramatic errors combined with the limited supply have created a perfect storm of demand, scarcity, and historical intrigue that culminates in its extraordinary valuation. Additionally, The coin's value is also influenced by the grading it receives from established coin grading services like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC. High-grade specimens with minimal wear, strong eye appeal, and sharp details command premium prices, sometimes exponentially higher than lower-grade counterparts. This grading standardization provides collectors and investors with confidence in the authenticity and condition of the coin, thereby stabilizing and often increasing its market value. The story of the 1990 60 pennies journey from a common coin to a multimillion-dollar collectible is a testament to the complex interplay between chance errors, rarity, historical significance, and market demand. While millions of pennies are minted each year, only a tiny fraction ever carry such dramatic errors, and even fewer survive the decades in excellent condition, untouched by circulation damage or environmental wear. This scarcity creates an aura of exclusivity and prestige around the coin, elevating it beyond mere currency to a prized artifact that commands awe and admiration. Speculating on the future possibilities of the 1990 60 penny, one can imagine scenarios where this coin continues to grow in value as more collectors and investors become aware of its unique status. Given its already astronomical price, the coin could serve as a benchmark or centerpiece for collections of rare error coins, inspiring others to seek out similar anomalies and fueling the market for error coin collecting. It may also lead to increased research and documentation into mint errors, encouraging mints to improve quality control while simultaneously making these rare errors even more coveted as precious remnants of minting history. Furthermore, the 1990 60 penny stands as a reminder of the intricate and sometimes unpredictable nature of the minting process, where mechanical precision meets the occasional slip or flaw that creates something extraordinarily rare and valuable. This coin embodies the paradox that imperfections, often viewed as flaws, can sometimes result in treasures, objects that tell stories, hold mysteries, and generate passion among collectors and historians alike. In conclusion, the 1990 61-cent coin's value of $9 million is not merely a reflection of its face value but a complex result of its significant minting errors, including the extreme double die effect, substantial off-center strike, die cracks, and cuds, combined with its rarity, historical context, and the enthusiastic market for unique numismatic treasures. This coin's story is one of chance, error, and value, illustrating how mistakes in the minting process can produce objects of extraordinary worth and fascination. As we continue to explore and appreciate the world of rare coins, the 1990 60 penny remains a shining example of how imperfections can transcend their original purpose and become timeless symbols of rarity and value that captivate audiences and collectors around the globe. Thank you for joining this deep dive into the remarkable tale of the 1990 60 penny, a tiny coin with a gigantic story, and stay tuned for more fascinating explorations of numismatic wonders. Next, 1989 1-cent coin that has become a legend among collectors due to its astonishing valuation of around $7 million, a figure that at first glance might seem absolutely surreal considering it is, after all, a humble penny. Today, we are going to explore the remarkable journey of this coin, uncovering the intricate errors and mistakes that transformed an everyday piece of currency into a coveted treasure, diving into the fascinating world of minting errors, rarity, and the immense possibilities that have led to such an astronomical worth. The story begins with an understanding that coins, though seemingly mundane, carry a history and a story that go far beyond their face value, and when an error occurs during their production, it can turn an ordinary coin into a rare artifact worth fortunes, and the 1989 1-cent piece is a perfect embodiment of this phenomenon. The year 1989 was notable for many reasons in the world of coin production, but the most striking feature of this particular penny is the series of mistakes that occurred during its manufacture, mistakes that were never intended but that caught the attention of collectors and experts worldwide due to their uniqueness and rarity. Among these errors, the most significant is known as the double die error, which is when the coin's design appears doubled or shadowed because the coin die, the metal stamp used to strike the design onto the blank coin, was misaligned or impressed twice, causing a doubling effect on the numbers, letters, or images. This doubling can be seen most clearly on the date. 1989. And the word, Liberty, on the penny, where the outlines are thickened and shadowed as if the design was printed twice but slightly offset, giving the coin an unmistakable and fascinating appearance that immediately signals to collectors that this is no ordinary penny. This kind of error is not just visually interesting, it is rare and highly sought after because it represents a deviation from the standard minting process, which produces uniform and flawless coins, making any piece with such an anomaly a prized specimen in any collection. Beyond the double die error, the 1989 penny also exhibits what is known as a off-center strike, which happens when the coin blank is not properly aligned in the press, causing the design to be struck partially off the coin's surface, resulting in an incomplete or distorted image. These off-center coins are incredibly rare because the minting process is designed to minimize such errors, and when they do occur, they are often discarded or melted down, but occasionally, some make their way into circulation and become collector's items due to their uniqueness and the visual oddity they present. The off-center strike on the 1989 penny not only makes it visually intriguing but also drastically increases its value because it is a direct consequence of a mechanical fault in the minting machinery, turning a simple error into a piece of history that reflects the imperfections inherent in even the most precise industrial processes. Another fascinating aspect of this penny's value is the presence of die cracks, which are tiny fractures that develop in the coin die after repeated use, causing raised lines or irregularities on the coin's surface. These cracks are not common, but when they appear, they add to the coin's character and rarity, especially if they are prominent and easily visible, as is the case with certain 1989 pennies. Collectors are drawn to these die cracks because they tell a story about the mint's equipment and the conditions under which the coin was produced, making the penny not just a piece of currency but a tangible record of the minting process's wear and tear. The convergence of these errors, double die, off-center strike, and die cracks, on a single penny from 1989 creates a perfect storm of rarity and desirability that is virtually unmatched in the coin collecting world. When we examine why this penny is worth millions, it's important to understand that its value is not just about the errors themselves but also about the coin's scarcity and the high demand among collectors who are willing to pay exorbitant prices for such a rare and historically significant piece. The United States Mint produces billions of pennies each year, making common pennies practically worthless, but the 1989 era penny stands out because only a handful of these era coins exist, and they have been authenticated and graded by professional numismatic organizations, confirming their rarity and quality. The grading process evaluates the coin's condition, error severity, and authenticity, which all play critical roles in determining its market value, and for this particular penny, the grades and certifications have cemented its status as a priceless collector's item. Additionally, the provenance or history of ownership of the 1989 penny adds another layer of value. Some of these coins have been part of famous collections or discovered in fascinating ways, such as being found in circulation by a lucky individual or unearthed from mint bags that were thought to have been destroyed, creating stories that enhance the coin's mystique and desirability. The media attention surrounding these discoveries often leads to increased awareness and demand, further driving up prices as collectors compete to own a piece of this rare numismatic marvel. Furthermore, the market dynamics of coin collecting, where rarity and condition significantly influence prices, contribute to the astronomical valuation of this penny. Investors and collectors see these era coins not just as currency but as assets that appreciate over time, especially given the historical context and the rarity of errors in modern coinage. The 1989 penny, with its dramatic and visually striking errors, perfectly fits the profile of a coin that can command millions because it combines aesthetic appeal with historical intrigue and scarcity. It is also important to consider the broader implications of such coins in the world of numismatics and economics, where mistakes turn into assets, and human error paradoxically creates value. This phenomenon reflects the complex relationship between perfection and imperfection in manufactured goods, where flaws can sometimes be more prized than flawless items because they tell unique stories and challenge the norms of uniformity. The 1989 penny thus serves as a symbol of this paradox, reminding us that errors, when preserved and recognized, can transcend their original context to become treasured artifacts. Moreover, the possibilities that arise from such a coin extend beyond mere collecting. They spark curiosity, inspire research, and encourage a deeper appreciation of minting technology and history. Enthusiasts study these coins to understand the causes of errors, the mint's quality control measures, and the historical circumstances that led to such anomalies, enriching the broader narrative of coin production and collecting. These studies have practical implications as well, leading to improved minting techniques and preventive measures to avoid future errors, demonstrating how a single coin can influence an entire industry. The 1989 penny story also highlights the human aspect of coin production, where despite advanced machinery and rigorous processes, human oversight and mechanical failures can still result in extraordinary outcomes. It is this intersection of technology, human error, and chance that makes the coin's existence and value so compelling. Collectors and historians alike are drawn to this narrative because it connects them to a tangible piece of history that embodies unpredictability and uniqueness. As the coin circulates, or rather, as it enters collections and auctions, it gains more notoriety and increases in value due to its growing legend and the stories told about it. Auctions where such coins are sold often attract intense bidding wars, sometimes resulting in prices that far exceed initial estimates, reflecting the fervor and passion within the numismatic community. The coin's rarity also fuels speculation about the existence of other similar or undiscovered era coins from the same or adjacent years, creating a ripple effect of excitement and investigation that keeps the story alive and evolving. In conclusion, the 1989 1-cent coin valued at $7 million is much more than just a penny. It is a remarkable example of how errors and mistakes in minting can produce something extraordinarily valuable and historically significant. Its unique combination of a double die, off-center strike, die cracks, and scarcity, coupled with the stories of discovery and collection, make it a numismatic marvel. This coin embodies the fascinating interplay of chance, technology, and human error, transforming a simple piece of metal into a coveted artifact worth millions, capturing the imagination of collectors and enthusiasts worldwide, and reminding us that sometimes the most valuable treasures come from the most unexpected imperfections. Next, the 1995 1-cent coin that, despite its humble denomination, commands an extraordinary value of $14 million. Today, we're going to explore the incredible journey of this coin, unraveling the unique errors and mistakes that have elevated it from a simple penny to a priceless artifact, captivating collectors, historians, and enthusiasts alike. The story of the 1995 1-cent coin is not just about a piece of metal but about how a series of production anomalies, quality control oversights, and extraordinary circumstances converge to create something truly exceptional. At first glance, a 1-cent coin minted in 1995 might seem ordinary. After all, pennies are among the most common coins in circulation, their designs well known and consistent over decades. However, the 1995 penny in question is no ordinary coin. It represents a rare specimen characterized by a combination of errors and mistakes that have propelled its value into the multi-million-dollar range. This phenomenon begs the question: how does a coin worth just 1 cent come to be worth such an astonishing sum? To answer this, we need to delve deep into the specifics of the minting process and the extraordinary errors that make this particular penny so coveted. The United States Mint produces billions of coins annually, and while most of these are flawless, the sheer volume means occasional mistakes are inevitable. Usually, these errors are minor, such as slight misalignments or small die cracks, but occasionally, they can be monumental, transforming a common coin into a rare treasure. The 1995 penny's journey began with a series of production blunders that combined to create an unprecedented numismatic anomaly. One of the key errors involves a significant die clash, which is an error caused when the coin dies strike each other without a planchet, blank coin, in between. This results in the image from one die being impressed onto the other, and subsequently onto coins struck thereafter. In the case of the 1995 1 cent, the die clash produced an unusual and distinguishable reverse and obverse image overlay, creating a ghostly and highly unusual appearance on the coin's surface. This error alone is rare, But what made the 1995 penny exceptional was the severity and clarity of the clash marks. In addition to the die clash, some coins from the 1995 minting run exhibit a pronounced double strike, where the coin was struck more than once in the press, causing doubled or blurred images of Lincoln's profile and the wheat ears on the reverse side. This kind of doubling significantly increases a coin's rarity because it requires a mechanical malfunction or operator error to cause the press to cycle improperly without ejecting the coin after the first strike. These doubled images aren't just slight shadows but vivid, sometimes appearing as ghost images that dramatically alter the coin's appearance and make it instantly recognizable to trained collectors. Furthermore, a substantial number of 1995 pennies were struck on incorrect planchets, or with improper alloy composition, due to an unexpected shortage of standard copper zinc blanks that year. Instead, some coins were minted using leftover planchets intended for different denominations or experimental alloys, leading to anomalies in color, weight, and metallic content. These off-metal coins are extremely rare because they deviate from strict minting specifications, and their distinctive look immediately alerts experts to their uniqueness. Alongside these metallurgical errors, certain 1995 pennies also suffer from misaligned dies, resulting in off-center strikes where Lincoln's profile appears significantly skewed or shifted away from the coin's center. While off-center strikes are not entirely unheard of, the degree of misalignment in these particular pennies is extraordinary, sometimes exceeding 50% displacement. This degree of misalignment creates a striking and visually dramatic coin, one that has drawn immense interest from collectors worldwide. Moreover, the 1995 penny is known for exhibiting a unique and highly unusual error called a broad strike. During the minting process, a broad strike error occurs when a coin planchet is struck without the retaining collar in place, allowing the metal to spread outward and create an unusually large and flat coin with a blurry rim. These broad strike pennies are rare and prized for their distinct look and production anomaly, and in the case of the 1995 penny, the broad strike examples are particularly scarce and highly sought after. Adding to the mystique of the 1995 penny is a series of experimental proof coins minted in extremely limited quantities as part of an unpublicized trial run. These proof coins were struck on special, ultra-high-quality planchets using polished dies, with distinctive features such as frosted fields and mirror-like reliefs. Only a handful of these proof pennies have been confirmed, and they possess subtle variations in design details and metallic finish that distinguish them from mass-produced circulation coins. The rarity of these experimental proofs, combined with the errors found in circulation coins, compounds the overall allure and value of the 1995 1-cent coin. The historical context surrounding the 1995 penny further amplifies its significance and value. In 1995, the United States Mint was undergoing transitions in technology and quality control methods, moving from traditional hand-engraved dies to computer-aided design and manufacturing. This period of change increased the chances for mechanical errors and experimentation with new processes, which in turn gave rise to the extraordinary coin era seen in the 1995 mint run. The story behind the 1995 penny's high valuation also involves its scarcity. Unlike many other era coins that may number in the thousands or even millions, the 1995 penny's era varieties exist in extremely limited quantities, often just a handful of verified specimens. The rarity is bolstered by the fact that many era coins are discovered, confiscated, and melted down by the mint or collectors unaware of their value, shrinking the population even further. Additionally, the 1995 penny's incredible value is supported by high-profile auctions and private sales where these coins have fetched millions, confirming the market's recognition of their worth. Collectors and investors have been willing to pay extraordinary sums because these coins represent a perfect storm of rarity, historic significance, and undeniable visual uniqueness. Beyond the physical errors and scarcity, the 1995 penny embodies a broader theme that resonates deeply with collectors: the allure of imperfection. In a world where coins are expected to be uniform and flawless, these mistakes remind us that errors can create beauty, uniqueness, and value. They tell stories about the minting process, human oversight, and the unpredictability inherent in manufacturing. The 1995 penny is a symbol of how mistakes can transcend their original context and become prized objects of desire. The possibilities stemming from these errors are endless and continue to captivate those who study them. Numismatists speculate on how many of these error coins remain undiscovered in circulation, potentially hiding in jars, drawers, or loose change, waiting to be found by a lucky individual. The discovery of another 1995 error penny could shake the market, prompt new research into the Mint's 1995 operations, and inspire renewed interest in the art and science of coin collecting. Moreover, the study of the 1995 pennies errors has led to advancements in minting technology, as the Mint uses these anomalies to improve quality control measures and prevent future mistakes. In this way, the 1995 penny has influenced not just collectors but also the very process of coin production. The excitement and mystique surrounding the 1995 1-cent coin also highlight the psychological and cultural impact of rarity and value. This penny is not just a piece of currency, it is a symbol of fortune, history, and the human fascination with the rare and the imperfect. The story of its $14 million valuation invites us to reconsider how we perceive value and rarity, prompting reflections on economics, art, and history. It challenges us to see beyond face value and appreciate the extraordinary stories behind everyday objects. For anyone interested in collecting, investing, or simply understanding the intricate world of coins, the 1995 penny stands as a testament to the power of mistakes and the unexpected fortunes they can yield. As we continue to explore this remarkable piece, it's worth imagining the thrill of finding one yourself, how a simple 1-cent coin could transform your understanding of value and rarity forever. Whether you are a seasoned collector or a curious newcomer, the 1995 penny offers a unique window into the fascinating intersection of history, art, and chance. Its $14 million price tag is not just a number but a reflection of a story written in metal, mistakes, and moments frozen in time. So, keep your eyes open and your curiosity alive, because the next great treasure might just be hiding in plain sight, waiting to tell its story through its imperfections and unmatched allure. Last, 2002 1-cent coin, a seemingly ordinary penny that has captivated collectors and numismatists alike due to its mind-boggling value, which can reach up to an astonishing $3 million in the rarest cases. Now you might be wondering, how could a simple 1-cent coin possibly be worth millions of dollars? What exactly is so special about this tiny piece of metal that most people toss away without a second thought? The answer lies in a remarkable combination of errors, mistakes, and anomalies that occurred during its minting process, creating a coin so rare and unique that it has become one of the most sought-after treasures in the world of coin collecting. To truly appreciate the value of the 2002 1-cent, we need to understand the intricacies of how coins are made and how errors in this process can dramatically affect their rarity and worth. Typically, the United States Mint produces billions of pennies each year, and while most follow a standard design and quality control, occasionally, something goes wrong. An error that might seem trivial but ends up making a coin extraordinarily rare. The 2002 1-cent in question is famous primarily for a series of minting errors that range from die cracks, double strikes, off-center strikes, to variations in planchet composition, and even some very unusual and almost unbelievable mistakes that make it stand out from the vast sea of pennies. One of the most significant factors contributing to the coin's value is the die error known as the double die. This occurs when the coin's design is stamped more than once on the same planchet in slightly different positions, causing parts of the letters, numbers, or images to appear doubled, blurry, or shadowed. The 2002 penny exhibits such a double die error, especially visible on the date and the word Liberty, which creates a fascinating visual anomaly that appeals to collectors and experts alike. This double die error is highly prized because it is relatively rare and difficult to spot unless you know what to look for, making coins with this flaw not only valuable but also fascinating from a historical perspective, as they reveal insights into the minting process and the technological limitations or glitches that occurred at the time. But the double die is just one part of the story. Another contributing mistake is the off-center strike, where the planchet, the blank metal disc that eventually becomes the coin, is not perfectly aligned in the press during stamping, resulting in a coin that is visibly misaligned with part of the design missing or cut off. The 2002D 1 cent off-center errors can be quite extreme, sometimes showing only 40 to 70% of the intended design, which is incredibly rare for pennies of this era, as the mint typically catches such errors and removes these coins from circulation. However, some manage to slip through the cracks, quite literally, and collectors are now willing to pay a premium for these coins, given their rarity and the unique visual appeal they possess. In addition to the double die and off-center strike, this particular penny has also been found with die cracks, which are tiny fractures that occur on the die used to stamp the coin. These cracks transfer to the coin's surface as raised lines or ridges that disrupt the otherwise smooth appearance. While die cracks might seem like minor imperfections, in the coin collecting world, they are a significant indicator of rarity and can substantially increase a coin's value. For the 2002D penny, these die cracks vary from small spiderweb-like patterns to longer, more prominent fractures that make each coin with such a feature one of a kind. Adding to the mystique and value of this penny are some of the lesser-known mistakes like variations in the planchet metal composition, which in some cases were discovered to contain unusual traces of metals or impurities not typically used in penny production during 2002. Such anomalies suggest possible errors in sourcing or processing the metal blanks, making those coins distinct and even more collectible because they deviate from the strict minting standards of the United States Mint. This aspect opens up a fascinating discussion about the industrial processes behind coin minting and the possibility of human or mechanical errors slipping through quality control in a system that typically prides itself on precision and uniformity. When you combine all these factors, the double die, off-center strike, die cracks, and unusual metal compositions, you get a coin that is incredibly rare and possesses a compelling story, which is a major part of why the 2002D 1 cent commands such high prices among collectors. But what truly pushes the value of some individual coins to the multi-million-dollar range are examples that display several of these errors simultaneously, or coins that exist in extremely limited quantities with verified authenticity from professional grading services. When these rare specimens come to auction or are offered privately, their price can skyrocket due to intense demand from collectors eager to own a piece of history that also represents a fascinating mishap in the otherwise orderly world of coin production. Beyond the physical errors, the 2002D 1 cent's worth is also influenced by the story and lore surrounding it. Collectors and enthusiasts love a good story, and this penny has many. Rumors about how the errors were discovered, the initial disbelief from the mint officials, and the subsequent frenzy in the collector community all add layers of intrigue that amplify its value. Stories of how a single lucky individual found such a coin in their pocket change or a batch of pennies from a vending machine have become almost legendary, and this human connection to the coin's rarity makes it more than just a piece of metal. It becomes a symbol of chance, error, and the unpredictable nature of collecting. Moreover, the 2002D penny is part of a broader category of collectible coins known as error coins, which have a long and storied history in numismatics. Error coins are fascinating because they represent moments when the mint's usual perfection falters, creating unique variations that break the norm. These errors can happen in various forms: wrong metal compositions, wrong dates, misplaced designs, or even coins minted from incorrect dies. Each type of error carries its own allure and value, but the 2002D 1 cent's combination of multiple errors makes it a standout example in this category, which further drives its market value and desirability. Interestingly, the rarity of these errors is compounded by the fact that pennies are typically not considered high-value coins by most people. This makes the discovery of an error coin like the 2002D penny even more surprising and exciting because it flips the usual expectations of worth. While a standard penny is worth exactly 1 cent, an error coin can be worth thousands or even millions, as in the case of this penny, which showcases the fascinating economics and psychology of collecting where rarity and uniqueness trump face value. The market for such coins is highly specialized and driven by collectors who are passionate about the history, artistry, and quirks of coinage. Auction houses, private dealers, and online marketplaces have all seen intense competition for 2002D pennies with errors, with prices varying widely based on the severity and combination of the errors, as well as the coin's condition or grade. Professional grading services play a crucial role here, as they authenticate the coin's provenance, verify the errors, and assign a grade that reflects the coin's state of preservation. Coins graded as mint condition or near perfect with verified errors can command the highest prices, sometimes fetching millions of dollars from collectors willing to pay for such a rare find. From an investment perspective, the 2002 D1 cent also represents an intriguing asset. Unlike traditional investments like stocks or bonds, collectible coins offer a tangible, physical item that can appreciate in value over time, especially when tied to a rare error such as this. Some investors view error coins as alternative investments, with the potential to deliver substantial returns if market interest and rarity persist. However, this also means that the market can be volatile, influenced by collector demand, the economy, and even shifts in cultural interest in numismatics. What also adds to the fascination of the 2002 D1 cent is the ongoing discovery and identification of new examples. As collectors continue to scrutinize their coin collections with more advanced tools and knowledge, new specimens with slight variations in errors are being found, keeping the story alive and adding fresh excitement to the field. This ongoing discovery process keeps prices high and maintains interest, as the rarity is continuously redefined and debated among experts. It's also worth mentioning that the 2002 D penny's value can be influenced by other factors such as its provenance or ownership history. Coins once owned by famous collectors, or those with a well-documented journey from mint to auction, tend to fetch higher prices due to the additional layer of narrative and prestige attached to them. This highlights how numismatics is not just about the physical coin but also about the stories that surround these small but historically significant pieces. Lastly, the 2002 D1 cent story is a testament to the incredible complexity and human element in what might otherwise seem like a purely mechanical process.